Hello, beautiful humans. Welcome to the Midlife Revolution. I'm your host, Megan Connor. Thank you for being here with me tonight on this live where I recap what happened in the courtroom today in the Donna Adelson trial. We have a jury. That's the breaking news. After 9 hours of court today, we have a jury. Now, I will tell you a couple of things that I'm going to go over tonight. First of all, I'm going to talk a little bit about the jury selection process. I'm going to try to answer some questions about the case because I know a lot of people coming to my channel are new to this case. This has been a 11-year-long inglorious saga since 2014. And there's a lot to this case. It's a little bit complicated. There are a lot of players. There have already been 4 convictions in the case. And now it is allegedly the mastermind of all of this, the master manipulator who is the devouring mother, the matriarch of this Adelson family, Adelson crime family, allegedly, where there was a conspiracy, allegedly, although some people have already been convicted. Basically, on July 19th of 2014, Dan Markel was returning home from the gym. He was in a bitter custody battle with his wife, Wendi, at the time. They had 2 young boys together. He is a law professor from Florida State University. And she also was a law professor, just not tenured, maybe not quite as prestigious. He went to Harvard. She went to Brandeis. There was always, I think, just a little bit of competition between the 2 of them. But mainly, the competing factors came from the mom, Donna. Donna is all about appearances. She's all about one-upping. She's all about being better than the other guy. And the tragic event that happened as he was returning home from the gym, there was a Prius in his driveway that he didn't recognize. The neighbor across the street saw the Prius drive away in haste and saw Dan's car in the garage. The neighbor thought that Dan was getting ready to leave, didn't realize that Dan had already just arrived. So the neighbor went over there. He heard the gunshots. He went over there to check it out and found Dan unresponsive, bleeding from the head and with his cell phone on the ground. So the neighbor called 911. Unfortunately, there was some confusion. The officer responding thought they were responding to a traffic accident, not to a shooting. So it took him a while to get there. And unfortunately, Dan died in the hospital the next day. His wife, Wendi, allegedly drove by the crime scene at the same time that 911 was en route, apparently. Now, there have already been, as I said, 4 convictions in this case. The gunman, the other individual in the car, and the girlfriend of the gunman, all been found guilty, as well as Charlie Adelson, Wendy's brother, Donna's younger son. Now Donna is on trial, and today is jury selection, second day of jury selection. It was a long day. It was 9 hours. You'll be pleased to know that I have already recorded the important portions of jury selection and edited them down to, wait for it, 2 hours and 40 minutes. So for those of you who want to hear all of the details of jury selection, you want to hear the questions and the answers, and it's fascinating, you guys. I think jury selection is one of the most, to me, it's the most important part of the trial because justice is in the hands of these individuals. And we're going to talk about it. 12 jurors, 2 alternates. And yes, I put up a video today hoping that we were going to hear opening statements today, but jury selection took a really long time. So as the day wore on, I kept changing the time, hoping that we were going to get to it. Finally, court ended around 6:30 Florida time. So they stayed there. They were in there for 9 hours today, but they did get a jury seated. And I'm going to tell you about it. Now, I did not include the parts of jury selection where it was just the large pool of jurors and the judge, Judge Everett, was asking general questions of everybody. I was shocked too, Julie, that they showed jury selection, which is why I think it's so fascinating. We've got footage from in the courtroom provided by Court TV. They've got a camera in there And we're able to see, now, of course, they're not going to show the jury's faces, but we're able to see the judge. We're able to see the prosecutors, and we're able to see Donna Adelson. We're able to see her facial expressions and her reactions throughout this entire process. So it's really fascinating to watch. Normally, they don't televise jury selection at all. So if you really want a window into how this goes down, stay with me, because I'm going to play the whole thing tonight, and I'm going to have commentary throughout as we go through it. So what we ended up with was 12 jurors, 2 alternates. I have to read my notes here, you guys. 8 men, 6 women, most of them in the 40 to 60ish range. One outlier that's a pretty young looking young man. And, seems to be kind of a variety of different professions and experiences on the jury. Now, so what they ask in those general questions, they're always asking, have you served on a jury before? How long have you lived in the county? They're always asking those types of questions to try and get people out of there. For example, if you're over 70, or if you've served on a jury in the last year, you don't have to serve. If you have young children at home, or if you're a caregiver for an ill parent or something like that, those are generally things they excuse for. It gets a little more stringent as they talk about hardship things. For example, if you're the sole provider for your family and taking this jury service is going to create a financial hardship for your family, you can get excused. Also, if your employer is going to have a problem with you being gone for that long, I've already got a quote from Judge Everett that is t-shirt worthy. One of the people said, is it possible for me to provide my employer with some kind of proof that I'm serving on the jury and that it's really going to take 3 weeks? And Judge Everett said, you need me to call somebody? I absolutely love this judge. He has a great sense of humor, but he's also very no nonsense. And he was really committed to making sure that we got this jury seated today. And I appreciated his commitment to that. Now, he also had a bunch of motions and other things to deal with. And so he's really trying his best to get everything in. From what I understand, he didn't even get to get lunch today because he wanted to get all of this done today. So the jury was accepted by the prosecution and by the defense. And I was surprised to hear Judge Everett ask Donna Adelson directly, do you accept this as the jury for your trial? And she said, yes, she does accept it. So that's going to eliminate a lot of problems in the appeal process. If, Donna accepted the jury, she can't blame the jury or the jury selection process for anything that goes on. So the more in-depth questions that get asked of the jury, they ask everybody their age, their occupation, their family situation. Are they married? Do they have kids? They ask if the kids are older, if they're adults, if the kids are working, what their occupations are. Both the prosecution and the defense read their entire witness list. Again, what was it? 58 names on the prosecution's witness list. And the jurors have to certify that they don't know any of the people on that list. Then again, they ask whether or not anyone close to them has been convicted of a crime. They talk about that a little bit and they say, what are your feelings? Can you remain unbiased? There were several times when the judge and the attorneys had to go back off the record into the jury room to talk about the answers that a potential juror gave. So I think it was well into the afternoon when they finally started releasing jurors, and they excused, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They excused 10 of the jurors, and then they brought in a new panel of jurors who hadn't had those specific questions yet, and they began asking those questions. Then both the prosecutor and the defender had their opportunity to ask individual questions that they wanted. And generally what they would do is ask a general question, and then they would point to specific jurors and say, Juror 5, how do you feel about this? Juror 10, how do you feel about this? And again, these attorneys are taking notes the entire time, noting what each juror is answering to the judge's questions and to their questions. And then they go out and, deliberate about who they get to strike. The judge noted earlier in the process yesterday that this was a 10 strike issue. So each side, the prosecution and the defense, gets to strike up to 10 jurors for cause, meaning that they think they know too much about the case, or they can't be biased, or they can't remain impartial. They can't be unbiased about the process. And so they're allowed to strike for cause any one of those people up to 10 jurors. So the process was really interesting. It took a really long time, obviously. And just the attorneys asking those individual questions. If there was one complaint that I had, it was that the defense attorney seemed to really kind of be going in circles and asking the same things multiple times. And that was annoying and frustrating, because it really seemed like you already asked this one. Now he's asking it a different way. Now he's honing in and asking a potential juror. So anyway, I really did not appreciate that part of it. I absolutely loved getting to hear the prosecutor in this case. I think she's absolutely amazing. I can't wait to see her in action more. All I've seen of her thus far is kind of the video clips that I've seen of the previous trials where she was the prosecutor in Charlie's trial. So what I want to do tonight is I'm going to go ahead and play the condensed version of jury selection. So I have given a little bit of a synopsis. If you're just looking forward to opening statements and this is good for you, I don't blame you at all, but I'm always fascinated with the in-depth process. So I'm going to go through this entire video and, stop and give some commentary from time to time. And again, I skipped over all of the parts where they were in chambers or where they were in the jury room discussing off the record, and not necessarily off the record, but just out of the presence of the jury, right? I also skipped over all of the lunch breaks and everything like that. So I've whittled down this 9-hour day into about a 2.5-hour video. And I'm not going to play the entire thing here tonight, but I am definitely going to play a large portion of it and have some commentary along the way. Now, I've also noted throughout my coverage, which hasn't been a lot, I've only made 3 or 4 videos about this case, but I do have an Adelson playlist on my YouTube channel on the homepage. If you go to playlists, my Adelson coverage is there. So far, what I've covered is a recap of jury selection day 1. And I also did a video about some of the emails that Donna Adelson sent to her daughter Wendi during Wendi's divorce process, and how just insane they were. From what I understand, those emails are going to be admitted into evidence. Also, the judge made a determination today too. The jailhouse snitch, quote unquote, they're going to be allowed to testify. Also testifying, Donna Adelson. That's likely going to happen either tomorrow or Monday. So tomorrow, we're definitely going to have opening statements, and then prosecution will start calling witnesses. And I believe they're going to start out with the first responders to the scene on the day. It was July 19th of 2014 that this incident happened. And I am going to be live streaming the entire trial, the entire time, with recaps at lunchtime and at the end of the day as well. Now, the judge noted that court is going to be happening Monday through Friday, 8:45 a.m. through 5:30 p.m. That's a long day. You remember when I was covering Lori's trials, Judge Boreski would start court around 10 a.m. because there were other motions and things to take care of prior to that. And we would had pretty short days on this. These are going to be long days. 8:45 Eastern time is 7:45 a.m. for me. So that's when the live stream is going to start. I believe court is going to start at 9 sharp. So they called the jurors to be there at 8:45. So I'll have about 15 minutes to do a little bit of a recap and expectations for the day before streaming starts. And I will be streaming the entire day with a lunch recap as well as an end of the day recap. So please make sure that you subscribe, hit notifications so that you can be here. And if you're joining me for the first time, welcome to my channel. I'm Megan Connor, host of the Midlife Revolution podcast. We are all about making small changes that become revolutionary. I'm all about healthy relationships, healthy family systems, healthy religions. which is one of the reasons that I'm covering this case, because this family is a classic example of an enmeshed family system. It's an unhealthy system, usually with some narcissistic traits, but where the individuals don't really have their own identity outside of the family. Donna Adelson is a classic family ruler where she has these narcissistic traits and she is very controlling. She's involved in every aspect of her children's lives. And we see this demonstrated in the emails that she exchanges with Wendi. We also hear it in the jail phone calls she exchanges with Charlie. They tell each other everything. Nothing is off limits. And Donna feels entitled to tell her kids what to do at every single turn and to be really controlling about all of their different relationships. So for TLC is asking here in the chat, I thought Catherine Magbanawa, I'm assuming you're referring to Catherine Magbanawa, was Charlie's girlfriend. She was at one point, but they ended their relationship. And then Charlie got back in touch with her in order to ask her, hey, can you help me take care of a problem? Because he knew that Catherine had a relationship with some unsavory people. You know, the father of her child was an unsavory person. And so Charlie got in touch with her and arranged this problem-solving situation. And so that was the connection there between the person that got paid and Charlie. Charlie had a successful dental practice, one that was started by his father, Harvey, and he basically took over and was running it. But Donna was the bookkeeper. So guess what? The checks that went to Catherine Magbanawa were written by Donna. So Donna can't really claim that she didn't know what was going on, in my opinion, allegedly. I do have a lot of gaps in my knowledge about this case because I was a little busy covering a different case for a really long time. But I think I'm mostly caught up. I know there are going to be some gaps though. So if I get something wrong, please let me know. And just, you know, I was really embarrassed the other day. I made a mistake and said the wrong name at the wrong time. I have now edited that video, so the mistake is gone. But, you know, it happens from time to time. And even in my own family's case, I sometimes confuse names. So I really appreciate you guys helping me to get things right, because I do want to have the facts out there. I don't want to be spreading misinformation. I definitely don't want to be talking about rumors or speculation in this case. Mainly what I'm here for is to help people understand the family dynamics that lead to these kinds of toxic situations, and so that we don't end up in this situation again, because these types of family systems, they exist all over the place. And I believe personally that it comes from a long line of generational trauma that gets passed down, where people don't talk about their fears, their anxieties, their insecurities, and so they start trying to control things. And when you start mixing a high control situation with a sense of entitlement, which I believe this family has on a superior level, they believe that they're really entitled. When you mix those things together, possibilities like harming people, hurting people physically, start to come into play when you can't get your problem solved. So Charlie is not Donna's husband. Charlie is Donna's son. So Donna is the mom. Her husband, Harvey, I've labeled as the enabler. He just sits there in court and doesn't really do or say a whole lot. You don't hear a whole lot from him in text messages, emails, phone calls. He'll pop in from time to time, but Donna is the one who is in charge. And then the Adelsons actually have an older son named Robert, who has kind of distanced himself from the family. He's living his own life. He's got his own family. He's got his own, successful, I believe he's a physician, his own successful practice. So Charlie is the son that, shall we say, conspired with Catherine Magbanawa to hire someone to take care of their Dan problem. Dan was married to Wendi. Wendi is also the daughter of Donna Adelson. So Donna is the mom. She's the grandmom. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today, because the prosecutor very wisely asked the jury, potential jurors, what does a murderer look like? Could a murderer be a grandma? And for those of you who've been following this case for a long time, Donna has changed her hairstyle a little bit to look a little softer. And she's now wearing these grandmotherly sort of sweaters, and she's wearing headphones over her ears, which She wasn't doing in pretrial hearings, so I don't think she actually needs them, but I think she's trying to play to the sympathies of the jury and say, I'm just a grandma. I didn't really know what was going on. Also, I am going to play one of my favorite videos, which is the video of Donna Adelson appearing on Wheel of Fortune. That's right. Just when you thought that this case couldn't get any closer to the Daybell case, we have this other crazy connection where my ridiculous cousin, Lori, was a contestant on Wheel of Fortune. And guess what? So was Donna Adelson. Imagine that. And she claimed that her job at the time was a domestic coordinator. Let's see if we can find it here real quick, because it's one of my favorite clips. I thought I just had it pulled up. Here we go. This is courtesy of Court TV here.
And we now meet Donna Adelson, Coral Springs, Florida. I want to hear all about you, Donna. Let's go.
Well, I'm a domestic coordinator.
A domestic coordinator?
Yes. I'm responsible for the activities, classes, and lessons of my son Robert, who is 16, Charlie, who is 12, Wendi, who is 10, my husband Harvey, who's in the audience, and my dog Sam.
Donna.
F.
Yes.
Mischief maker.
Yeah, that's it, Donna.
So there you have it. Donna Adelson, domestic coordinator for her children and her dog. Don't forget her dog. I'm sure she made coffee for everyone in the morning. Her hair was epic. That dress reminds me of my Aunt Janice. It's a little crazy. So I lived in Connecticut for a while. I did middle school and high school years in Connecticut. I had lots of Jewish friends and lots of people with that sort of New York, New Jersey sort of accent. And so, yeah, it is stunning, isn't it? No, that was Pat Sajak right there on the clip. So I found this just, I don't know, there were so many parallels between this case and the Daybell case. I couldn't resist but digging in and covering it. Okay, sorry guys. I thought that I had a problem in the chat there for a second, but I think we're good. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you. My dogs are going nuts. So just give me a second. I am going to start playing the video from jury selection today so that you can see what the judge was asking of the jurors. And I'm going to periodically stop throughout. So please go ahead, put your questions in the chat. I will answer them as we go along. It's going to be a long night if you're going to stay for the whole thing. But let me just say right off the bat, if you're interested in jury selection and you can't do the whole thing tonight, that's, of course, it's totally fine. Come back, do it on the rewatch. This jury selection, being able to see inside the courtroom during this is unprecedented. And I think it's absolutely fascinating and integral to understanding the trial, because we're going to hear from these jurors. I've got the juror numbers of the ones that we want to watch out for. So just in case you are a nerd like me and you want to take notes about all of the answers that they give from the beginning of jury selection, this is what I always wish that I had, is I wish that I knew who was going to make it through. So as I'm listening to their answers, I can be really very well aware of how they're answering. So these are the juror numbers that made it through. Juror number 1, 2, 5, 23, 11, 14, 25. Anybody playing the lotto tonight? If you're playing the lotto tonight, maybe these would be good numbers. I don't know if I said 25. I think I did. 27, 28, 29, 31, 34, 35, and 36. So now I'm going to read them in consecutive order. That was the number, the order at which they were called. Now I'm going to read them in consecutive order. 1, 2, 5, 11, 14, 23, 25, 27, 28, 29, 31, 34, 35, 36. So now we know that there are going to be 12 jurors and 2 alternates. So 2 of these jurors will not actually deliberate, but they all have to act as though they are going to deliberate. So I'm grateful for you being here. Thanks for sticking with me. Please hit the like button on the way in or on the way out. Please subscribe so that you can get a notification about when I'm going live. And I'm going to be up bright and early tomorrow morning streaming starting at 7:45 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to stream the entire day long, and then I'll have a recap, a short one at lunch, and then a much more detailed one at night. And yes, if you win the lotto with those numbers, please, shoot me a Venmo. That'd be great. By the way, for those of you who have been around for a while, you know that I've had a little bit of trouble with this platform from time to time. So I'd like to ask a little bit of a favor. If you're willing to do a little bit of extra work to support the channel, please go follow my Midlife Revolution page on Facebook. I don't have very many followers over there, but I try to stream there as well as here, if you know what I mean. In addition, I have a Rumble. I just posted my first video on Rumble today. If you've never been over there, it is another video streaming platform. I also have a Substack. I haven't posted anything there yet, but I'm on Rumble as Megan Connor. Substack is going to be similar over there. I also have, if you're able to financially support the channel, I have a Patreon at the Midlife Revolution where I post bonus content of a little more personal things, singing, playing the piano, cooking, recipes, a lot of writing, and future plans that you're going to get clips first over there that I can't really post over here. And then I also have a Venmo, and it's at @3rd_verse. If you want to donate to the channel, I always really appreciate your donations and your support. This platform has reduced my ability to earn money, and this is my full-time gig. So I really appreciate your support. If you're not able to financially support, please go follow me on those other platforms, because that will help to mitigate difficult circumstances when things go south here on YouTube. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you so, so much. And, another way to support is, yes, just hitting that like button, leaving comments, asking questions. That always helps as well. So I appreciate you guys. Now let's go ahead and get to the video. This is live. It was streamed live on Court TV. And I cut out all the pauses and things like that. And I will be commenting throughout the stream. So please put your comments here, your questions here in chat, and I will answer them as best I can. And I'll be pausing from time to time to comment on the video. Thanks for being here, everybody. I'm excited to dig into this case with you guys.
Please respond fully to these questions. This is to obtain some general information from you, and also the attorneys may follow up with more specific questions when they have their opportunity to examine. For juror number 1, what is your occupation or the type of work that you do? What is your marital status?
Single.
Do you have any children, and what would be their ages?
2 children. One is 1 and one is 19.
All right. For your 19-year-old, how are they employed?
She's a college student.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 2008.
Do you have any close friends or neighbors or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Do you have any close friends, relatives, neighbors, or have you yourself been charged with a crime?
When I was 20.
Yeah. Right. What is the name of the offense?
It was reduced to a simple battery.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
Thank you. Juror number 2, what is your occupation or what is your type of work?
Construction manager at a safety division.
What is your marital status?
Divorced.
Do you have children?
Yes. I have an 8-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter.
And I assume they do not work.
Not yet.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 97.
Do you have any close friends or neighbors or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
DUI when I was 20.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
Thank you. Juror 3, what is your occupation or type of work?
I'm a small business owner.
What is the type of business?
I have a booth at the other side of the village, and I also help my friend run her shop in Newtown.
This is the best free advertising you're ever going to give. You said it's a midtone?
Her shop is, yeah.
All right, please repeat the name.
Rare interiors.
What is your marital status?
Okay.
Right. What is your spouse's occupation if they work?
He's a wealth management advisor.
Do you have children?
I absolutely loved that the judge allowed people who had small businesses in the community to give a shout out to the name of their business. He said, "You're never going to get better advertisement than right here." And he's right. There's so many people watching this trial. And so I just love that he did that for them. That's all.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 1996, with the exception of 4 years from 2015 to 2019.
Do you have any close friends or neighbors or relatives that work in law enforcement?
I grew up, my best friend growing up, her dad is at HB.
Have you, any close friends or any relatives ever been charged with a crime?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives ever been a victim of a crime?
I have not like a first uncle, but a second uncle who was murdered. But I don't know the details of it.
So this is a distant relative.
It's my uncle's brother, but like he's like my dad's nephew. So, I've never met him,
I'm no genealogy expert, but suffice to say, you had a relationship with this person to where it affected you. All right. Juror number 4, what is your occupation or your type of work? All right, please repeat that one more time. This is going to be a recurring thing. Please speak as loudly as you can.
I'm an information and referral specialist at the Elder Helpline.
Thank you. Are you married?
I'm single.
Do you have any children?
No.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 2000.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime? Thank you. Juror 5, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I'm a nurse.
What is your marital status?
I'm single.
Do you have any children?
No.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
26 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime? Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime? Thank you. Juror 6, what is your occupation or type of work? What is your marital status? Do you have any children? How long have you lived in this county? 2022 is when you moved here? All right. Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement? Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime? Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime? Thank you. Juror 7, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I'm a pastor. John.
What is your marital status?
I'm married.
What does your spouse do if they work?
She stays at home.
Do you have any children?
I have 3.
What are their ages?
Yeah, they're 8, about to turn 7, and almost 3.
So they're not working.
No.
How long have you lived in this county?
We moved here in June of 2025.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
I did.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
Yes, my father was charged with grand theft auto, but it was dismissed.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
Juror number 8, what is your occupation or the type of work that you do?
I'm an application developer designer at FSU, and I'm also a PhD student.
What is your marital status?
I'm married.
What is your spouse's occupation if they work?
She does work, and she does internal funding and grant coordination for FSU.
Do you have children?
Yes, sir. We have 2, a 9-year-old and a 5-year-old.
And they do not work.
No, sir. Just at school.
How long have you lived in this county?
About 4 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, sir.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
Yes, sir. When I was a teenager, I was charged with possession less than 20 grams and obstruction of justice.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of crime?
No, sir.
I believe when we did the individual session, we asked you to follow up with your PhD program concerning your ability to serve. Were you able to do that?
Well, I needed the specific date range to ask, and I wasn't sure of the dates, so I haven't really been able to talk to my professors about when to ask for an allowance for. Unfortunately, I have everything drafted up and ready to speak with my advisors and everything, but I wasn't sure of when to ask for.
What we're anticipating right now would be tomorrow through September 5th.
Okay, yes, sir. I can get in touch with them today.
Thank you.
Judge, you discussed possible.
If we can get there, but first for the dates that we know are firm, let's start with Friday through September 5th. Juror 9, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I work as an IT specialist for the state of Florida.
What is your marital status?
Single.
Do you have any children at all?
No, sir.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
27 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, sir.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
No, sir.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No, sir.
Thank you. Juror 10, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I'm a fifth grade math and science teacher.
What is your marital status?
I'm divorced.
Do you have any children?
Two boys, 25 and 21 next week.
What are their occupations if they work?
Both are full-time students. My oldest just quit a job at a credit union, and my youngest is a cook at Red Elephant.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 1988.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, Your Honor.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
So 2 misdemeanors when I was 20 and 21. Adjudication was withheld.
What are the offenses, if you recall?
Underage drinking and open container. It was a long time
I assume you're fully rehabilitated.
ago.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Juror number 11, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I'm an irrigation technician with the city of Tallahassee.
What is your marital status?
Divorced.
Do you have any children?
Yes, sir. 4.
What are their ages and what do they do if they work?
30, she works at Dollar General as a manager. 26, stay-at-home mom. 23 and 21, they both do YouTube videos.
You appear to have a bit of distress about
They
that.
make more money than I do.
Stand corrected.
Okay, I just have to comment because this was probably the funniest moment of the day, where the potential juror said that he had 2 sons who were YouTubers, and he said, you seem to have a little distress about that. He's like, they make more money than I do. Well, they must have over 100,000 followers because that's pretty rare. So just wanted to comment on that.
How long have you lived in this county?
Raised here since 76, left in 2006 for the military for 20 years and came back in 2017.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, sir.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
I was arrested a year and a half ago on a felony warrant. Turned out not to be me. It was a brother using my identity. So all charges against me were dropped. I don't know if that's the answer to that question.
No, that is a very important answer. So there is not any pending prosecution at this time.
No, sir. Not against me.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
Yes, you asked for identity theft for the previous answer.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Juror 12, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I'm a software engineer at Civic Plus.
What is your marital status?
I'm divorced.
Do you have any children?
I do. I have a daughter who's 21, and she's employed at General Dynamics Land Systems.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Born here in 1970, moved away, came back in 93, and I've been here since then.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
My girlfriend in Portland, Washington, Portland was pushed down and assaulted and had her phone stolen, and her identity stolen.
Thank you. Juror 13, what is your occupation or your type of work?
Pastor.
What is your marital status?
Married.
What is your spouse's occupation if they work?
She's in mom.
Do you have any children?
I have 4 children, 11, 9, 8, and 5.
And I assume they do not work.
They do not. Well, they should.
How long have you lived in this county?
For almost 11 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, I do not.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
I can't answer for certainty. I have a sister who I believe was arrested and charged for violating court orders. I believe so, but I don't know. She was out of state. And then for the next question, I believe she was a victim of spousal abuse.
And this is the same sister you're referring to? Oh, thank you, sir. Juror 14, what is your occupation or type of work?
I'm a student and I work part-time for trading.
What is your marital status? What is your spouse's occupation, or excuse me, do you have children?
I do.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
I was born and raised here and lived section 2019 through 2023.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
I do.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime? Thank you. Juror 15, what is your occupation or your type of work? You can speak up, everyone needs to hear you. What is your marital status? Do you have any children?
I'm 2 years old.
And I assume they do not work. How long have you lived in this county?
2021.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
Position number 1.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime? Thank you. Juror 16, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I work for the State Department of Health, abstracting information on non-fatal drug overdoses off of medical records.
Sounds complicated. What is your marital status?
Single.
Do you have any children?
Yes.
How long have you lived in this county?
since 2012 with a gap from August of May 2015 to August 2016.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
I don't know my neighbor's occupations, but different jobs.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
Ticketed for driving without headlights in 2016.
I believe that's a civil infraction, but I applaud your honesty. Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
My brother was non-fatally stabbed in, I believe, 2022.
Thank you. Juror 17, what is your occupation or your type of work?
Work in healthcare IT, currently for Gainwell Technologies, engaged in state Medicaid claim system implementation project.
I'm sorry, say all that again.
Okay. Healthcare IT, I work for Gainwell Technology, engaged on 2 state Medicaid claim system implementation projects currently.
Right. Was everyone able to clearly hear?
They're going to need to speak up, guys.
Oh, if there's a microphone near you, if you can angle it back to the third row so that way everyone can be clearly heard. In the process, don't tap the microphones, might cause some feedback. One more time, Juror 17.
Healthcare IT, I work for Gainwell Technologies, engaged on 2 state Medicaid claim system implementation project.
What is your marital status?
I'm married. My wife is the office manager, works for a local communication firm.
Right. Do you have any children?
I do. A 20-year-old daughter. She's a full-time student at Florida State. She works at a puzzle room place, mystery room place.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
50 years. All of them.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
I do have a brother-in-law that works for FWC.
And that's the Wildlife Commission you're referring to? All right. Have you or any close friends or relatives ever been charged with a crime?
I was arrested for trespassing when I was 15.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
Thank you. Juror 18, what is your occupation or your type of work?
Entrepreneur.
If you could elaborate on that a little bit further.
I would like to discuss all work-related issues in saga.
That's fine. What is your marital status?
Single.
Do you have any children?
No.
How long have you lived in this county?
8 months.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, no.
Do you have any close friends, relatives, or neighbors that have been charged with a crime? Or have you as well? Go ahead.
I'm estranged from my family, but there's potential some friends.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No, sir.
Thank you. Juror 19, what is your occupation and your type of work?
Department manager at Lobby.
What is your marital status?
Married.
What does your spouse do if they work?
He's a retired teacher.
Do you have children?
Yes, she's 32, lives in Philadelphia. She's a event coordinator at hotel.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since summer of 21.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
My dad's a retired deputy sheriff.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
I had somebody break into my house and steal my stuff.
Thank you. Juror 20, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I am a retired claims adjudicator for Social Security.
What is your marital status?
Will.
Do you have any children?
Yes, 2 sons,
What are their ages?
44 and 31.
Do they work?
The 44-year-old does. The 31-year-old is currently incarcerated.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 1984,
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives in law enforcement?
I have a nephew that's a corrections officer for the last 30 years, and also a cousin that's with the Gaston County Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
Back in my late 20s, I had a charge of public assistance fraud. Adjudication was failed.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
Yes, I had a break-in in my house about maybe 13 years ago, but my mom scared mom, so they weren't able to educate anything.
Thank you, ma'am. Juror 21, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I'm currently unemployed, but I am full-time student.
What is your marital status?
Single.
Do you have any children?
No.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
For almost 22 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
Yes.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
No.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
If I'm remembering correctly, did you also need to check with your university or program concerning your ability to serve? Were you able to do so?
Yes, I emailed my professors and only one responded. He said missing 3 weeks would be kind of a burden for me, but it would be possible to do that.
Right. Thank you. Yes, juror number 1.
Yeah, I want to apologize. I'm actually divorced. I said single, but it was a long time ago. I kind of forget to say it.
I'll forgive you. Juror 4. Yes, I'm sorry if I forgot that from yesterday. Go ahead. Very well. If you please can bring it to the clerk, I will review in just a moment. Juror 3.
I also forgot about the crime family member committed. I have an aunt that was charged with prostitution.
Right. Juror 10.
So you had asked me yesterday to check with my administrator about
Yes.
getting someone to cover my class.
Yes.
She contacted 3 people, but none of them could do it. I contacted a former teacher. She's unable to do it as well. There are subs out there. It just won't be one permanent sub for the whole 3 weeks. So it would be somewhat of a burden to my class and myself preparing for that.
Parties can briefly approach. Guilty. This means you must presume. Concerning the attorneys, are you related by blood or marriage, or do you know any of the attorneys or their staffs? No.
Sorry, guys.
Concern.
I thought that I had edited out this part already, so I'm just trying to make sure that we don't miss what the judge says. There we go.
Spouse do if they work.
Well, apparently I'm playing the unedited version, so I apologize, guys. It's not as smooth as I wanted it to be.
What is your marital status? And what does your spouse do if they work? Do you have children? How long have you lived in Leon County?
18 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No.
Have you any close friends, relatives, ever been charged with a crime? Have you any close friends or relatives ever been a victim of a crime? All right, to go back to the other questions that were previously asked while you were seated in the gallery, have you ever previously served on a jury?
Yes.
When did you serve on a jury?
Over years ago?
Was it in Leon County?
Yes.
Criminal or civil proceeding?
No.
Do you recall the type of charge or case?
I believe it's not driving.
Driving under the influence.
Yes.
Right? Without telling us what the verdict was, did the jury reach a verdict? Were you the foreperson? Were you the foreperson of the jury? That is the person who presides over deliberations and gives the verdict form to the bailiff. So you were the foreperson. You were not the foreperson. Okay. Do you know either of or any of the attorneys or their staffs? Do you know or have any relationship by blood or marriage to the defendant? The names that were read aloud as to the potential witnesses in this case, did you recognize any of those names? Thank you. Juror 23, what is your occupation or your type of work?
Spray tech supervisor at FSU.
What is your marital status?
Married.
What is your spouse's occupation if they work?
She's the bookkeeper at Leon High School.
Do you have children?
Yes.
What are their ages and occupations if they work?
20 and 21. The 21-year-old, she's a full-time student at FSU, and my 20-year-old, she is employed at Subway.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
6 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement? Have you any close friends or relatives ever been charged with a crime?
Yes.
Have you any close friends or relatives ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
I'm also going to go back through the other questions that were previously asked of the group when you were seated in the gallery. Have you ever previously served on a jury?
No.
Concerning the attorneys, are you related by blood or marriage, or do you know any of the attorneys or their staffs?
No.
Concerning the defendant, are you related by blood or marriage to the defendant, or do you know the defendant? As to the names of the witnesses, or potential witnesses, I should say, that were read out loud, did you recognize any of those names?
No.
Thank you. In this trial, and also during the attorney's questioning, you will hear certain terminology, such as burden of proof, presumption of innocence, and the right to remain silent. It is very important that you understand each of these concepts. I will attempt to explain to you burden of proof, presumption of innocence, and the right to remain silent by reading the jury instructions that are applicable to each separate concept. The defendant has entered a plea of not guilty. This means you must presume or believe the defendant is innocent. The presumption stays with the defendant as to each material allegation in the indictment through each stage of the trial, unless it has been overcome by the evidence to the exclusion of and beyond a reasonable doubt. To overcome the defendant's presumption of innocence, the state has the burden of proving the crime with which the defendant is charged was committed, and the defendant is the person who committed the crime. The defendant is not required to present evidence or prove anything. Whenever the words reasonable doubt are used, you must consider the following. Proof beyond a reasonable doubt does not mean proof beyond all doubt. A reasonable doubt is not a mere possible doubt, a speculative, imaginary, or forced doubt. Such a doubt must not influence you to return a verdict of not guilty if you have an abiding conviction of guilt. On the other hand, if, after carefully considering, comparing, and weighing all the evidence, there is not an abiding conviction of guilt, or if having a conviction, it is one which is not stable, but one which wavers and vacillates, then the charge is not proved beyond every reasonable doubt, and you must find the defendant not guilty because the doubt is reasonable. It is to the evidence introduced in this trial and to it alone that you are to look for that proof. A reasonable doubt as to the guilt of the defendant may arise from the evidence, conflict in the evidence, or the lack of evidence. If you have a reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant not guilty. If you have no reasonable doubt, you should find the defendant guilty. In every criminal proceeding, a defendant has the absolute right to remain silent. At no time is it the duty of a defendant to prove his or her innocence. From the exercise of a defendant's right to remain silent, a jury is not permitted to draw any inference of guilt, and the fact that a defendant may not take the witness stand cannot influence the jury in any manner whatsoever. The attorneys at this point are going to have their opportunity to ask you some questions. What they say now or at any other time during this trial is not to be accepted by you as evidence or any instruction on the law itself. They are simply going to be asking you questions. Please do not infer anything or read anything into the questions that you will be asked. Before I turn over the inquiry to the attorneys, let me remind you to please answer their questions honestly and forthrightly, and also volunteer any information that you believe may be important. Is counsel for the state prepared to inquire?
Well, congratulations. Yeah. It's a compliment, I think. So I'm going to ask you some questions about some legal concepts today. It's not the trial. You're not going to hear any evidence in the case today. As the prosecutor, it is my burden to prove the case to you beyond a reasonable doubt through evidence, which we will do. I'll be assisted by Sarah Catherine Dugan in doing that when the trial actually starts. But for jury selection, we're just trying to get sort of your ideas about concepts and issues that we think might come up during the course of the trial. And it's important and will be less painful, certainly for me and probably for you too, if you guys will participate and raise your paddles and answer. And I'm going to attempt to not say names and only say numbers. So this is obviously an important case. I know some of you probably don't mind speaking up. Many of you probably are shy and less likely to speak up. So I would encourage my shy guys to please participate as well, because your voice is just as important. Let's see. So I want to identify sort of like my leaders on the group. Do I have folks that supervise people at work or have supervised people in the past? Start on the first row because I'll probably have several of you. Juror 2.
Yeah, construction managers, volunteers, 30 volunteers all day, Saturday, building houses.
Some pats are heard there. Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the first row? Yes, sir. Number 7.
So coordinating, organizing volunteer teams, and then have as much as 6 staff reporting.
Okay. All right, thanks. Anyone else first or second row? Leadership staff, and I would include head of an organization or something like that if that's part of your resume. Number 8.
I'm a GIS project manager, so I have about 8 people that work under me. They're all students. Some of them are paid, some of them aren't paid.
Okay, thanks. 9.
I work as impromptu team.
Tell me. I know. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Anybody consider yourself a leader? Like you just identify as that type of personality, even though you haven't raised your hand as somebody that necessarily supervises others at work? Okay. For my guys that haven't spoken up, you know, obviously we want a jury that delivers a verdict that's your verdict, right? Even if you're a shy guy, I feel like maybe you qualify. Number 6. Shy guy? Probably not so shy at home, but shy in this setting. Okay. Do you find this setting a little intimidating? Anybody find this setting a little intimidating? Show paddles? Okay, I mean, it can be, right? Nobody likes to speak in public to begin with, and then we've got a lot going on here, a lot of people in the room and so forth. So if you were feeling shy or feeling intimidated by the setting, but you were chosen to be on the jury, would you be able to sort of stick to your guns, have your voice heard back there, make sure the verdict that comes back is your verdict? Anybody feel like they would struggle with that? I'm just not the guy that's going to like push against the grain. Okay, 21, tell us. Okay. This particular setting, do you think if once we kind of roll along, if you're selected, you start hearing evidence and all that, you'll start developing opinions, and at the end when you're asked to deliberate, would you feel confident speaking up if you had a difference of opinion with your fellow jurors? Okay, so you think you might struggle with that. So whoever was in charge back there would really have to ask you what's your opinion. Okay. Anybody else feel like juror 21, like you might struggle to speak out? Okay, Bree, tell us about you. I have pretty bad social anxiety. Actually, public speech,
special accommodations public speak class when I was at FSU.
Okay.
I had like 500 people in the class, 20 people had to do that. And I was 20 people on the other side. So
Well, you're doing great. You haven't even cried yet. You're on a roll. Okay, so the foreman may have to draw it out of you, but you would be able to speak your opinion if called upon to do so. You're just not the guy that's going to interrupt and yell and get it over everything.
Okay, I'm just going to pause it for a little bit because this whole part is skipping a lot and I'm not really sure why. It skipped a little bit as I was recording it, but I really didn't think that it was doing it this bad. So I'm going to turn it back on and let me see if it fixed or not.
Okay. All right. Okay, thank you for mentioning it, and we'll probably take that at sidebar at some point. So yes. Anybody else has something they need to tell us at sidebar, medical, or otherwise? All right. So for my folks that have been on a jury before, raise your paddles again. Experience, that round. Third row, good experience, bad experience. Number 17.
Yeah, it was a positive experience. It was a one-day trial.
Yeah. Oh, those are nice for jurors. They're no better than 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's gonna be more on the 2 side. Don't hold me to that, but for your planning purposes. All right. Anybody else? Jury service people. Yes.
Okay, guys, I'm sorry. I don't know why the feed is skipping like this and it's not lining up with the audio. So apparently the best laid plans of Mice and Megan did not turn out very well. So let me go to my other video, which it's an unedited video, which means I'm going to have to manually skip over things, but what I'm hoping is that it will be a lot better quality than this. So please give me a moment. I apologize, you guys. 1 second. Okay, guys, I think I have it solved here. Sorry about that. Let me try again. I'm going to use my unedited one. I'll see if that's better.
An organization or something like that, if that's part of your resume. Number 8.
I'm a GIS project manager, so I have about 8 people that work under me. They're all students. Some of them are paid, some of them are unpaid.
Okay, thanks. 9.
I work as an impromptu team leader for our department whenever there's any issues or need assistance.
All right, how many members of the team?
About 10 on a good day.
Okay. Number 23.
I supervise 2 spray technicians at FSU.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Second row. 11.
20 years in the military, about 15 of those in various leadership roles.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for your service. 13.
Did 8 years in the military, about 5 of that in leadership roles. Currently a lead pastor of our church.
Okay. And you supervise the staff there?
Those volunteer staff, and then I'm the lead of the elders that we have at the church. I'm the lead elder as well to supervise them.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else over there? Third row. Yes, sir. 16.
Previous work, I was in charge of a team of 3 for a warehouse, and current job, I am frequently one of the people training new employees.
Okay. Thank you. Anyone else in the back? 17.
I currently have a direct reporting team of 6, as well as a number of like matrix resources as part of my work.
Okay. Anybody else in the back row? Yes, ma'am, but you're not going to tell me, or I know. Anybody else? Okay. All right. Anybody consider yourself a leader, like you just identify as that type of personality, even though you haven't raised your hand as somebody that necessarily supervises others at work? Okay. For my guys that haven't spoken up, obviously we want a jury that delivers a verdict that's your verdict, right? Even if you're a shy guy, I feel like maybe you qualify number 6. Shy guy? Probably not so shy at home, but shy in this setting. Okay, do you find this setting a little intimidating? Anybody find this setting a little intimidating? Show paddles? Okay, I mean, it can be, right? Nobody likes to speak in public to begin with, and then we've got a lot going on here, a lot of people in the room and so forth. So if you were feeling shy or feeling intimidated by the setting, but you were chosen to be on the jury, would you be able to sort of stick to your guns, have your voice heard back there, make sure the verdict that comes back is your verdict? Anybody feel like they would struggle with that? I'm just not the guy that's going to like push against the grain. Okay, 21, tell us. Okay, this particular setting. Do you think if once we kind of roll along, if you're selected and you start hearing evidence and all that, you'll start developing opinions, and at the end when you're asked to deliberate, would you feel confident speaking up if you had a difference of opinion with your fellow jurors?
No.
Okay, so you think you might struggle with that. So whoever was in charge back there would really have to ask you what's your opinion. Okay. Anybody else feel like juror 21, like you might struggle to speak out? Okay, 3, tell us about you.
I have pretty bad social anxiety and actually public speech. I take the special accommodation public speech class, and when I went to FSU, like 500 people in the class, 20 people had to do that, and of those 20 people, I'm the only one that cried. So,
well, you're doing great. You haven't even cried yet. We're on a roll. Okay, so the foreman may have to draw it out of you, but you would be able to speak your opinion if called upon to do so. You're just not the guy that's going to interrupt and yell and get over everybody else.
Right. And
okay.
I don't know when the appropriate time to ask is, but on Tuesday I mentioned a medical constraint, and I did very doctor's note.
Okay. All right.
Opportunity to mention that.
Okay, thank you for mentioning it, and we'll probably take that at sidebar at some point. So yes. Anybody else have something they need to tell us at sidebar, medical or otherwise? All right, so for my folks that have been on a jury before, raise your paddles again, front row. Yeah, okay. Was it a good experience, a bad experience? Don't really remember.
It's good. Yeah, I have an experience to see how the inner process works and go through it.
All right, that's number 2. Number 22? Was it an okay experience for you?
It's not bad. It's something new. We consider we come from different countries,
Mm-hmm.
different government system.
Yes, so helped you learn about our system a little more, see it for yourself. Okay, that was a 1-day trial, I'm guessing. Okay. It's a good primer. Second row? Yes, number 9, did you have a good experience or otherwise?
It was interesting, to say the least. I think it was done a bit differently than usual, but the judge...
Was it here in Leon County?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think the judge had the jury excused every time the lawyers needed to speak with him, which was pretty much every other 10 minutes.
Oh, so there's a lot. You got your steps.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well, better than going to sleep in the chair, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, second row? Third row, good experience, bad experience? Number 17.
It was a positive experience. It was a 1-day trial.
Yeah. Oh, those are nice for jurors. They're no better than 2 to 3 weeks. I think it's going to be more on the 2 side. Don't hold me to that, but for your planning purposes. All right. Anybody else? Jury service people. Yes, 19.
It was okay. Not something I want to do again.
Yeah, I'm not going to deduce from you saying it was okay that you want to do this. I know it's a big ask and a huge imposition on you, and I don't mean to minimize that at all. I just want to know if it was okay. Sometimes juries walk away traumatized or, they argued back there or whatever. So I just want to know if it was anything like that. So you didn't have any.
No, there was no yelling or anything.
Okay, good. And for all my folks on a jury, without saying what the verdict was, were you able to reach a verdict? The ones that deliberated, everybody did. Okay. All right. Anybody have any legal training on the panel? Number 22, you said you work at the AG's office, but I don't think you said in what capacity. What type of work do you do? Okay. And your husband, state of Florida, but what type of work?
It's working public record in Bangkok.
Okay. All right, so I touched on this a little bit already. The burden, and I think the defense will emphasize this, is mine. So that means that I have to prove the case to you with evidence. It's completely my burden, the whole thing. So they don't have to do anything. They don't have to put on witnesses. They can do their nails, read the newspaper, not participate at all, which of course we don't expect they'll do, but they don't have to prove anything. That's really important. So you've heard no evidence right now. If you were asked to render a verdict right now, it would of course be guilty, right? Because you've heard no evidence. And the only place the evidence is going to come from is this table, right?
Yeah.
The state. It's innocent until proven guilty. We prove the case. Would you like to hear from the defendant? Sometimes that's a question. Human nature, yes, but you cannot require the defense to prove anything. Everybody understand that? That's the way our system works. Okay. All right. Reasonable doubt. You heard an instruction on this, and lawyers tangle with this at jury selection all the time and do a pretty poor job. Probably will not be an exception, but the idea is nothing can be proven to you beyond a mathematical certainty, right? If you knew for sure that a thing happened 100%, it's because you saw it with your own eyes, and that makes you what? A witness, not a juror. So you're going to have to make a decision based on the evidence. And it is a very high burden. It's the highest burden in the land, right? It's a high burden, and it should be. But it's not impossible to convict a guilty person through evidence. You're not going to have 100% mathematical certainty because that's not possible. So the example I use, which probably isn't a great one. Number one, did you drive here today?
Yeah.
Where'd you park your car?
Parking garage.
All right. Is your car still there?
I hope so.
You hope so, right? Do you have a reasonable doubt that your car is there where you left it?
No.
Okay. No, right? Because the evidence says he parked his car there. Did you lock it?
Yeah.
You locked it. Is there any security there?
I mean, yeah, I think so, but who knows?
There's security there. Okay, so he has no reasonable doubt that his car is where he left it. If he gets there, it's not there, he's going to be really surprised. Now, if we change the facts, he left his car there, he didn't lock it. There's no security. There were 2 or 3 very suspicious looking guys lurking around the car when he left. And when he left, he said, you can have it if you want it. I left the keys in it. Okay, now we're starting to change the facts, right? Now he has a reasonable doubt that the car is there. He basically invited somebody to take it. All right, so you as the jurors will decide, is this doubt reasonable or not, right? So I'm gonna say a bunch of words and they're gonna say a bunch of words, but ultimately at the end of the day, when you get back there and you're assessing a doubt, I have a doubt. Well, tell me about it. You talk about it. Is it reasonable? That's your question, right? And you decide what's reasonable or not, okay? Shaking of head.
Part is gonna approach it pretty quick.
United States Postal Service as an electronic technician, and
Sorry, guys.
United States Postal Service as an electronic technician, and as a veteran of the United States Navy.
What is your marital status?
I'm married.
What is your spouse's occupation if they work?
She's a nail clerk.
Do you have children?
I have an 11-year-old boy.
And he does not work.
He doesn't.
How long have you lived in Leon County?
Since 97.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
I do.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
I have a brother who was convicted of armed robbery.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No.
Also, to inquire as to the other matters that the court previously raised, have you ever served as a juror previously?
No.
As to the attorneys, are you related by blood or marriage to any of the attorneys, or do you know the attorneys or any of the persons that are part of their staffs?
No.
Are you related by blood or marriage to the defendant, or do you know the defendant?
No.
Concerning the names of the witnesses that were previously read out loud, do you recognize any of the names of the potential witnesses?
No.
Thank you. Juror 25, what is your occupation or your type of work?
I am a sales account manager.
What is your marital status? Oh, if you can just say it again and try to speak up as much as you can.
I'm a sales account manager.
Thank you. And your marital status again?
Married.
What is your spouse's occupation if they work?
He works in sales.
Do you have any children?
I have two. I have a 4-year-old and 11-month-old.
And I assume they do not work. How long have you lived in Leon County?
5 years.
Do you have any close friends, neighbors, or relatives that work in law enforcement?
No, sir.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been charged with a crime?
My 4-year-old's father has previously been charged with selling drug-related stuff.
So you don't know the exact name, but something relating to the possession of drugs.
Yes, and distribution.
Have you, any close friends or relatives, ever been a victim of a crime?
No, sir.
Going back to the other questions that the court previously raised with the group, have you ever previously served as a juror?
No, sir.
Are you related by blood or marriage to any of the attorneys, or do you know the attorneys or their staffs?
No, sir.
Are you related by blood or marriage to the defendant, or do you know the defendant?
No.
Concerning the names of the potential witnesses that were previously read, did you recognize any of those names?
No, sir.
Right. Ms. Kappelman, you may continue at this time.
For my new folks, any leadership or management experience, maybe in your time in the Navy or elsewhere?
I was a supervisor for several departments when I was on board the aircraft carriers.
Thank you. And number 25, do you manage anyone currently?
I have my children.
Yeah,
Not-
that's-
Not currently, but I do have about 7 years in like leadership experience.
Okay. And is that in the sales world?
Yeah, sales, customer service related.
Okay. Did you hear my spiel about reasonable doubt? Feel like you're getting your head around that one a little bit? Okay, same with you, sir. Okay. All right, well then we will keep it moving. Jury decides the facts, and you'll be the judge of the facts, not of the person. We're not asking you to render judgment on anyone, but still hearing that, some jurors sometimes feel like this is too heavy. This is a very serious case. Is there anybody that feels like, I'm not sure I could make a decision knowing how serious the case is for whatever reason? First row, second row, third row guys, no, okay. So your job will be to hear the evidence and to make a decision. Have these crimes been committed? And is this the person that committed the crimes? Judge of the facts. And the judge is going to give you all the law that you need. You don't need any legal training. Please don't do any research on the law. And his job is to sort of referee what comes in as evidence and make sure the rules of evidence are followed in the courtroom. The judge's job also includes sentencing. So you will not be asked to make any recommendations or determinations about sentencing at all in this case. Does anybody feel like I would still be worried about sentencing, even knowing that you're not being asked to make any decisions about sentencing? Number 20, would you be worried about that at all?
No.
Wouldn't worry about it. Can you set it aside? Number 18, or is that something that would weigh on you?
Can set it aside.
Okay. Anybody feel like I would worry about that? Okay. All right. Many of you have had some kind of interaction with law enforcement or close friends or family members that have. Have any of those been significant, meaning they've impacted you in some way personally? I mean, if you had a DUI 20 years ago and it was handled fairly, I don't need to know more about that. But if something has really colored your view of the criminal justice system or impacted you personally, we had some folks that had some quite serious cases that friends or family members have been involved in. I want to know, was the person treated fairly? And how has it impacted you? First row, anybody volunteer to say, I've been impacted by crime in a way that has deeply affected me? Okay. Second row, anybody treated unfairly? We had somebody that was falsely arrested. That's a big one.
My brother got pulled over in a vehicle and didn't present ID, told he was me. He was in possession of drugs.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they let him go. He was going to be an informant for them or something or other, I don't know. And then when they couldn't get a hold of him, naturally, they issued a warrant for me because he used my ID.
Yes, sir.
So once I found all that out and got a hold of the right folks, the system actually worked well for me once they got dash cam and body cam video and was clearly able to see it wasn't me. I was able to get everything resolved. So
sure, but what
really
a
bad
headache to
experience
get
early
there.
on and turned out pretty positive because the evidence did.
Okay. Anything about that you think would bleed into your deliberations on this case? Oh, I think the cops are all crooked, all arrests are false, anything like that?
No.
Okay. Second row, anybody else deeply affected by crime? Any crime in your life? Okay. Third row, anybody fall into that category? Who thinks there is a significant problem with the criminal justice system? It's broken, doesn't work well. Just raise the paddles. I'm a little broken. Okay, I'm seeing a couple little paddles. Little broken, not perfect. Not perfect. We can all agree with that one, I think. Anybody feel like you have such strongly held views in that regard that you think it could impact your ability to follow the law and render a fair verdict in this case? Seeing shaking of heads. Okay. Anybody had a bad experience with law enforcement? I know I'm asking the same question 3 or 4 different ways, but I just want to make sure I'm catching everybody. Yes, sir, 24.
I was pulled over. My plate came up with a stolen plate from another state. And I had guns drawn on me, and they figured out that it was from another state finally. But when you have guns drawn on you, it's not a fun thing.
It's a bad experience.
Yes.
Anything about that you think might interfere with your ability to do your job in this case?
They offered a lot of apologies after that. And God said,
too little, too late.
Yeah, it was. And I was headed to work, so
yeah.
Luckily, I was not late.
You were not falling asleep at your desk that day.
Before you continue, I'm curious, did you have on the mail carrier uniform?
I had my uniform on, but I'm an electronic technician.
I see.
Fix machines.
Please continue, Ms. Kevin.
All right. Law enforcement officers. So several of you have either backgrounds in law enforcement, yourself or a close friend or family member that's been in law enforcement or is in law enforcement. And the reason why we inquire about that is because we want to make sure we have jurors that, obviously you heard my list, there's quite a few law enforcement officers on the list. So jurors that can listen and be critical of law enforcement. So open-minded. If you learn that they have specialized training and experience and are qualified to, have authority on some topic more than the average person, then great, you can believe them more than the average person. But we don't do that just because they're wearing uniforms. So we don't automatically believe everything they say. We don't automatically disbelieve everything they say just because they're law enforcement. Anybody feel like they struggle with that? And the defense may get up and say, so-and-so, your father was a law enforcement officer. Somebody was. Whose dad is? Okay, your dad isn't a law enforcement officer. Don't you automatically believe what law enforcement says? And maybe that was true before coming in here, probably not for you, but the instructions of the court are level playing field. Can everybody apply the instructions of the court on law enforcement? Okay, they can make mistakes, right? They're also not perfect, like the system. Okay, what are undercover operations? Anybody know? Volunteers, just let me flounder up here. Number 1, undercover operations, like a law enforcement operation that's undercover. What does that mean?
When the people don't know that the cops are there trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah, like the cops are posing as not cops,
Right.
posing as someone else. So they're tricking somebody, right? Anybody uncomfortable with the idea that law enforcement is permitted legally to pose as somebody else and trick criminals to get information and to solve cases? Anybody feel uncomfortable with that? What do you think? 13.
I see the benefit of it. I think the technique in which it is executed is the one that catches my attention.
What do you mean?
So if somebody, it all depends on who it is that they're going after and the subject themselves. Right? But if a law enforcement officer is posing as somebody and in order to try to entrap people.
Yes, okay, entrapment would be
When
crossing that
unintentionally-
line.
Who are not intending to commit a crime, I would take issue with that.
Okay, so entrapment would be exceeding their authority to pose as someone else. But for the sake of this argument, let's assume it's not an entrapment situation, but it is a situation where an officer is posing as someone else.
No problem.
Okay, anybody feel like that's not fair? That's not cool? What do you think, 11?
I think if there's justifiable means to be there doing undercover work, then I'm okay with it.
Is it necessary though? What do you think? 5.
It depends on the context of it. Sometimes it is necessary. I mean, I feel like for police officers, depending on the crime that's committed, police officers not always go in. I mean, it depends on, like you said, entrapment. It depends on the context.
Sure.
If you're trying to entrap criminals, whereas if you're trying to just, how do I word this? Depends on the context, granted, because you can't legally try to coerce them into a crime.
Right.
Or
Hey, I'll give you $50 to take this crack rock over there and sell it to that guy. That wouldn't be okay, right? But what about posing? Typically, we think of narcotics operations. If you're trying to infiltrate these higher levels, where you really can't have access to investigate those people unless you send someone in posing as a fellow Confederate, right? Everybody okay with the concept, within limits, of course. Okay. What is premeditation? This is a premeditated murder. What does that mean?
It's like you planned it.
It's like you planned it. Okay, that was juror 23. So what type of evidence would show premeditation?
Bloody footprints, clothes, a weapon.
Okay, how does that show the operation of the mind, though, the intent?
Well, if you find somebody with their fingerprints on the weapon,
Mm-hmm.
then that's not admitting full guilt right there. I mean, but that's pretty damning evidence.
Okay, yeah. What about for intent, though? Number 16, what do you think? How do I prove premeditation? I didn't just haul off and kill someone on a whim. I thought about it. I had a conscious intent that crime be committed at the time it was committed. How do I prove that? How do I prove what someone was thinking?
I think we would have to rely on evidence that predated the moment of the attack. So if you had any sort of records or definite plans or things that were found.
Map of the bank, right? That's how they do it in the movies. They roll it out on the table, get the blueprints and that sort of thing. What else? What other type of evidence might prove intent? 15? You think of anything else? Conversations. I'm going to kill that guy, right? And that's pretty good evidence. They plan to kill the guy. What about motive? Motive, would that be important to your consideration, number 7, of intent?
Yeah, I think so. There have to be some sort of justifiable cause where you could empirically say that will lead a person to premeditate an act of aggression on the victim for X, Y, and Z reasons.
So you kind of want to know why, right? Well, I mean, sometimes you can imagine a scenario where the manner of the killing might prove intent.
Sure.
Shooting once is different from shooting 100 times, right? As far as if you're trying to evaluate intent. So that could be part of it, but certainly motive is very important and jurors want to know why. So the why could potentially be important. Everybody agree with that? What do you think? 12. Any other ideas of what type of evidence? How are you going to prove? You see the problem. How do you prove what someone was thinking?
Right, certainly in the records that they've considered it, discussed it, solicited someone to help with it, or done searches about how to efficiently execute the crime beforehand, and that sort of evidence.
Okay. Would you be open to all those types of circumstances to try and show what the person was thinking, as opposed to the type of evidence I laid out right away, which was, I'm going to kill that guy. Right? And that's great. But if you don't have that, can you evaluate all the other circumstances?
Yeah, and you have to see if they push you beyond the reasonable doubt.
Yeah. Any other type of evidence? Let's get away from premeditation, but in general, that you would expect to see in a case like this, a particular type of evidence. Number 23 mentioned fingerprints, clothing, anything else like that you guys are kind of expecting?
Financial records.
Gun residue?
Financial records.
Financial records? If it's, what kind of financial records? Why would you be expecting that in this case or a case like this?
If, from what we were told earlier about the case and the charges, if you're soliciting it, setting aside money, or transferring money to someone. Or
right. So if it's a murder for hire, you'd expect some kind of money to be involved, some type of transaction. Okay. Somebody else down here? Text messages, phone calls. Okay. Yes, sir. Number 6.
If I remember correctly, I remember coming from Miami to
Okay, some evidence of that travel. Okay. What else? It's so fun when y'all help me better. Okay. So you know it's a murder for hire. You know there's more than one person involved. You, though, as jurors in this case, will only be asked to decide the involvement and guilt or not guilt of one criminal defendant. Are you able to set aside your thoughts and feelings about the other people that may be involved in the case and focus your verdict? How does the evidence relate to this defendant? Everybody feel like they can do that? Okay. If the evidence shows that the defendant is not the one that pulled the trigger, does that make a difference? What do you say? Why are you shaking your head no, number 15? Why does that make a difference? Okay, so even if you don't pull the trigger, you can be charged with murder? But what?
Please speak up, number 15.
Okay, you could be charged with accessory, but you don't think murder. Who else, by a show of hands, thinks if you don't pull the trigger, you cannot be charged with murder? Nobody? Why not? Number 2.
If you're if you hire someone or something like that, definitely you're not committing the crime personally, but if you're telling someone else to do it, they do it, then that, I think something pretty close to it. Yeah, maybe
Okay.
not murder itself, there might be something close.
Maybe not murder itself, but it might be something close. What do you think? Number 20.
It's the way the law is written.
Mhm.
You don't have to pull the trigger, but you can still be charged with what the law allows, that you can still be charged with what you did that.
Okay. According to the law of our state, and a judge will give you the law. You do not need to know the law. I tricked you, and I'm sorry. But you can be charged just the same as if you pulled the trigger. If you also did some act or said some word to cause that murder to be done, some affirmative act to cause that murder to be done, and you intended it be done. Okay? It's called a principle. So, court reporter and I are going to do a bank heist, and we know when we go in there, the first thing we're going to do is kill the security guard. Okay? That's our plan. We both understand that that's what we're going to do. But I'm the shooter. She's the bag lady. She's going to get the money. We go in there, we do it, we're successful until we get caught. We can both be charged with first-degree murder of that security guard, the same as if she had pulled the trigger. Is that fair? How is it fair? 23.
Y'all planned it together.
But I pulled,
Y'all planned it together.
but I'm the one that pulled the trigger. Shouldn't I be worse off than her?
She knew what was going to happen.
She did. That's been proven beyond a reasonable doubt. So you agree with that law? Anybody disagree with that law? I do not think it's fair. It should be, as juror number 2 thought walking in here, something close to it, but not exactly the same. Okay. Now that I gave you the spoiler, you won't admit it. All right, so number 2, knowing that now, would you be able to follow that law?
Yeah.
What do you think, number 15? If the law says we can both be convicted of first-degree murder, and it's proven, would you be able to convict her of first-degree murder even though she didn't pull the trigger? You would be able to follow that law.
Number 15, please speak up as much as you can.
Yeah.
You would. If there was a law that the judge read you in this case that you did not agree with, would you be able to follow it anyway, or do you think it would be incumbent upon you to do what your gut is telling you? What do you think? Number 16?
Since we're here to decide if something followed or broke the law, go with the law.
Go with the law. Number 8?
Yeah, definitely.
Follow the law no matter what, even if you don't like it?
Yeah, it's not me to decide the law. It's just for us to stick to it.
Okay. It's the legislature's job. We're going to leave that to them. Okay. What is a conspiracy? Volunteers for that one? How about you, number 14? What's a conspiracy?
I'm not sure.
You don't need to know the legal stuff, just what's your idea of it? Come and speak.
A group of people getting together, saying anything that maybe.
Please speak up, number 14.
A group of people try to say a definition without using the word conspire.
Yeah.
Things I'm like to do.
Getting together to do something? Okay.
whatever example I did.
Okay.
I'd like to say that it doesn't even have to be a group. You can conspire to do something alone.
Number 8. Okay. You could, are is that what you're doing right now? You want to tell us something? Okay. Do you all agree that a conspiracy can be evidence circumstantially? And what I mean by that is, and this is hard because we can't talk about what the evidence is. I'm asking you to imagine that it could be proven to you that people conspired to do something without an express, we're gonna, go in and kill the security guard without that being expressly stated. Can you imagine other evidence, circumstantial evidence? For example, we walk in and I walk directly over to the security guard and blow him away right to the head, right? Immediately. And she says in front of everybody, yeah, just like we planned. Okay. Okay, we did. It's not in the plan. The conspirators generally don't write out a manifesto where they say this is going to be my role and this is going to be your role and this is what we're all going to do. But you can infer it from the circumstances, the way the crime was done, the other communications in the case, the other evidence in the case. Can you be open to that? Nodding of heads. Yes. Very good. Thank you. Does it matter how long it takes to make an arrest in a criminal case? You guys all heard the statement of the case. This crime occurred in 2014. Number 6, how old were you in 2014? 9. Can you even care about something that happened when you were 9? Can you, sir? Does it matter how long it's been?
I think as long as the crime that you're being charged for is within the statute of limitations, I think it's fair to be arrested for a crime that could have committed. It takes years to build evidence and things like that.
Anybody feel like it's too long? I just can't consider evidence from 2014. I was 9. Everybody else, can you keep an open mind to evidence and a long investigation? So it is a circumstantial evidence case, and I do a cheesy analogy for circumstantial evidence because what's better, direct or circumstantial evidence?
Direct.
Direct. Everybody knows that, right?
Sorry, guys. I had to switch headphones because my ear was hurting.
So powdered donuts. You have 2 kids. Who's got 2 kids? Well, your kids are too young to do this scenario, but let's imagine they're older. All right. So 2 kids, a bag of powdered donuts. They're not supposed to be eating the donuts before dinner, but you walk in and one kid who happens to be the kid that really loves powdered donuts and asked you 20 minutes ago if you could have a powdered donut, to which you responded no, is covered in powdered donut dust. And the kid says to you, my brother did it. What type of evidence is that? The statement, my brother did it. No, it's not. That's direct evidence. Direct evidence. I was here. I saw him eat the powdered donut. Never mind that I'm covered in it, right? That's direct evidence. As opposed to circumstantial, which is, what are the circumstances? Circumstances are, this is a kid that loves powdered donuts. This is a kid that just asked me for a donut. This is a kid that's covered in donut. All that's circumstantial, right? So in that case, which evidence is better?
Direct.
Okay, so can you keep an open mind to circumstantial evidence? It gets a bad rap, but I need you to be open to it. Can everybody nod? I can be open to that. Thank you. All right. Somebody say something? Okay, witnesses. Cooperating defendant testimony. What? I guess I just want you to agree to keep an open mind to it. This is a person who's been involved in the crime, and you absolutely should consider that character of that person and what motivations that person may have in play. You should consider that. But can you keep, that doesn't necessarily mean they're lying, right? They can also be telling the truth. Can you agree with that? Okay. Is there anybody that feels like I cannot Keep an open mind to the possibility that a cooperating co-defendant might be telling the truth. What about you, number 6? Can you keep an open mind to that? Is it possible that a cooperating co-defendant could be telling the truth, maybe to try to get something for themselves, but could be telling the truth? 15? 14? 13, why does a cooperating co-defendant come forward?
Could be cover their own tracks.
Could be what?
Cover their own tracks.
To cover their own tracks. Yeah, to put it off on somebody else. Okay, good. What else? What else could motivate a cooperating co-defendant? 19? You're on ice, 19. I actually have a volunteer, number 6. They have a deal?
Well, please speak up.
They got a deal with shortages.
Yeah, they might be trying to get something to help themselves. Does that mean they're lying? No, it could mean that. But it could mean they're telling the truth to get something. Is that right? Do you agree with that, 19?
Possible.
Okay, can you keep an open mind to that type of testimony and weigh it with all the other evidence in the case? You're going to observe the witness. You're going to hear what they say. You're going to see if it fits with everything else. And you're going to make a decision about their credibility based on all that, including the fact that they have this motive or whatever. Can you do that? Everybody feel like they can do that? Okay. Unsavory witnesses. That's a very nice way of putting this topic. So there could be witnesses in the case that you all do not want to have a beer with or a cup of tea with. Okay? Can you keep an open mind to the testimony of someone who is different from you and lives your life differently from the way you live your life? Number 1, can you do that?
Yeah.
2, can you do that? Everybody? If you don't hear a particular type of evidence that you're expecting, can you keep an open mind to the type of whatever evidence that there is and render a verdict based on that? I just don't want you guys to walk in thinking, oh, there's no gun. Can't convict of a murder without a gun. You know, is there anybody that's like that? There's a particular thing that you require. Okay. Inconsistencies. Would you all expect the testimony to be completely consistent or there to be some inconsistencies? Let's say we're going to have a 2-week trial. You're going to hear from witnesses every day, all day for the period of 2 weeks. Are we going to have any inconsistencies? 17.
Purely a guess, but based on the duration, probably somewhere in there.
Okay. Every single one of you went back in the room back there and answered the questions in private. And I was sitting back there, Ms. Dugan was sitting back there, and we were wearing the same outfits all day. If we isolated each one of you and asked you, what can you tell me about what Ms. Dugan was wearing yesterday or the day that you were back there? Let's assume it was all the same day. Do you think we could get some inconsistencies? Might get some blue, some black, dark pants. I think it was, we might get a lot of different answers, right? Does that mean that anyone's lying? Okay. Now, you all will have to weigh inconsistencies, which are going to occur naturally in a case like this. And you will decide, is this a point on which this inconsistency is important and equals a reasonable doubt versus this doesn't matter at all, right? Can you do that? All right, so all crimes have elements. The judge will give you the elements of the crimes, and I will be responsible, with Ms. Dugan's help, of proving each of the crimes were committed. And that means proving each of those elements beyond a reasonable doubt. Number 7, what does a killer look like? Yeah.
Please speak up, number 7.
The louder.
There's no default for what killer would look like in just appearance.
No default. Really? They can look like anything?
Yes.
Who disagrees with that? Can a killer look like anything? Number 1?
Yeah. Anybody.
Anybody. Can it look like your grandmother? My young people? Number 5? Can a killer look like a granny?
I mean, it's not like you can picture, but like anyone who's capable, like has to be possible.
You could keep an open mind to the possibility that a grandmother could be a killer. And that's kind of a tough one. And everyone keep an open mind to that possibility.
Yes.
For my folks that have been divorced, any custody battles? Raise your paddle if you've been involved in a custody battle. Okay, so just divorces. Anybody in a particularly messy divorce, ugly divorce, highly litigious divorce? Anybody go to court for their divorce? Did go to court, okay, but it was not particularly nasty.
He never showed up, so it was very.
You won.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so you guys haven't personally experienced this, but does everyone agree that those types of issues, domestic issues, divorces, custody battles, those are things that are highly emotionally charged? Yes. Okay. May I have a moment to confer, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
Goodness, that's more than a moment. Okay, so now we're going to go to the defense attorney is going to have the chance to do the same thing, and they ask the same questions of the jurors.
You understand that?
This is the first panel of jurors that they ask questions of, and each attorney asks very similar, almost exactly the same questions to the second panel of jurors. And so I'm not going to play those tonight, but I am going to go back and pick through once the closed captions are ready to see if I can hear some more specific answers of the jurors that actually got called. So yes, and I'm gonna do the whole rant. So yes.
We're not trying to trick you. There are no right or wrong answers. We want to know what you believe. Now, during this process, would it be wrong of me if I were to ask you for your each individual own worldview? We all have our own biases, resentments, beliefs. And I need to know, and I'm going to ask you to share with me whether or not you're going to carry that with you into the jury box. Now, there's a concept that has gained momentum recently, and that is the concept of implicit bias. Does anyone here know what that is? No? Okay, well, I'm going to try to explain it briefly. Now, we all want to see ourselves as fair. Can we agree to that? Yes? Okay. We all want to believe that we're rational. Can we agree to that? Now, unfortunately, studies have shown that despite our best intentions, none of us are free from these biases. Implicit bias refers to unconsciously held beliefs that don't necessarily reflect our conscious belief. So, for example, you walked into the courtroom either Tuesday or Wednesday, and you saw a gentleman in a black robe. When we see someone like that, we can assume that they're a judge. And you made that decision pretty quickly. Is that correct? Okay. So what if you were to walk into a supermarket and there's a big burly guy with a long beard, clad in leather, and he's walking to a motorcycle? Let's see. Number 5. When you see that, do you see someone who's adventurous?
Yeah, that's the right motorcycle.
How about dangerous? Okay. Now, you're making a quick judgment when you see someone like that, right?
Implicit bias, right?
I'm sorry?
It's kind of implicit bias, right?
Yes, yes. Now, in that same token, you all walked in, whether it was yesterday, Tuesday, or today, and you look over at the defense table and you see my client, Mrs. Adelson. Do you wonder to yourself, I wonder what she did? Number 2, you think to yourself, I wonder what she did, or I wonder what she is accused of doing?
I don't look that far into it. I mean, I know the next person, so just pure up that person.
Okay. What about number 9?
No, sorry, I didn't have that question.
Well, which one did you ask yourself? I wonder what she did, or I wonder what she's accused of doing?
Neither.
Did anyone ask that question of themselves or say that to themselves? Number 23.
Yeah, I was wondering, what she is accused of.
Okay. I saw a paddle over here. Number 25. What did you think?
Yeah, like I think it's just discrimination and curious. It's like, I wonder what this person was.
Now, do any of you have anxiety or claustrophobic that if you're in lengthy deliberations that you might want to just leave the jury room? Anyone at all? Now, going back to implicit bias briefly, does everyone here agree, let's start on the first row, that you will make an effort to be conscious of implicit bias when you're considering the evidence in this case? Second row. Third row. Thank you. Now, when we were back in the jury room the last couple of days, some of you answered some of the questions I think I might be able to, or I believe so. And you recall that we asked you to clarify that. First row? Okay. Why do you think we asked you that? Anyone?
Because sometimes, I'd say just about every day in our lives, we face bias because we have a perspective of what the world should be. And we can only deal with bias if we get consciously are aware of how we feel and what's going on around us.
Thank you. Does everyone agree with that response? I need verbal.
Yes.
Thank you. So if a witness were to say, I think I saw this, is that the same as them saying, I saw this?
No.
Another important point, and I'm going to go to number 6. If you are selected as a juror and you hear the evidence and testimony, you go back into the jury room, are you able to say to another juror, well, that witness didn't say that they saw it. They said that they thought that they saw it. Yeah. Or they didn't tell you what somebody said, but what they think they overheard. Yeah. You can point that out. Number 12. Could you do that as well?
That's my duty. That's why I'm here.
I'm sorry?
That's my duty. That's why I'm here.
Number 11. Good. Number 16. Yes?
Yes.
Number 17.
Yes.
Ms. Kaplan covered the leader, so some of what I was going to cover has already been addressed. So I'm not going to repeat it, and certainly not here to waste your time. Number 23, would you say that you're naturally skeptical?
Yes.
Okay, when I ask that, what do you think that I mean?
Like, today's going to be a great day. And sometimes you're like, yeah, there's something can go wrong. You better not, put all your eggs in one basket. So to say, I think everything's going to be great. You have to be open and know things can go wrong.
Do you question when somebody says something to you? Would you question whether or not they're being honest?
Yes.
So how do you determine whether or not they're being honest with you?
The normal things, get a person in the eye, if they're fidgeting in their seat or, not able to stay still or, they have conflicting statements or whatever.
Let's see. Number 19. Would you agree with that? Are you skeptical? Are you naturally skeptical?
Depends on the situation.
Give us an example.
Oh, well, like you said, it's going to be a great day. I have to keep an open mind because I have no idea if it's going to be a great day or not.
You trailed off at the end.
I have no idea if it's going to be a great day or not.
Are you hopeful?
Not really.
Today might be a bad example. Now, you previously served on a jury. You said it was in California?
Correct.
Things are a little bit different out there?
A little bit, yeah.
In trials, I mean.
Well, the way you guys did this time is different. I'm assuming it's because it's sensitive information. So.
You said that you didn't want to have to do it again. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
But it wasn't a bad experience?
No, I was not. I don't know. It was different than I was thinking, but it wasn't like horrible.
Let's see. Number 13. How do you avoid misunderstandings with people?
Through conversation.
Can you give us some techniques?
Primarily through asking questions to not only hear what they're saying, but then to get at what they're intending to communicate as well, both verbally and then non-verbally.
So it's important to listen.
Yes.
Okay. Number 14. Do you agree? Any other examples of how to avoid misunderstandings? Anyone at all? I'm going to call it yes, number 16.
Being aware of what you've actually been told versus what assumptions you're making.
I couldn't hear you.
Being
Sorry.
aware of what information you've actually received versus what assumptions you've made.
Okay, so avoiding assumptions. Okay. Number 12, I saw your.
Oh, I was just gonna say that it's good to confirm your understanding of what someone has said, if that's possible.
So in other words, repeating back what somebody has said to you to confirm that you understood it the way they intended.
Exactly.
Number 23. I'm sorry, number 11.
Yes, sir.
When you were falsely arrested, how did you feel about the criminal justice system?
I was a bit irritated with it at the time.
Okay. How long did it take to correct?
About 3 weeks in total. I was bailed out immediately, so I only spent about 8 hours in a holding cell, but about 3 weeks of back and forth before I was fully cleared.
It's actually pretty quickly.
I thought so, but I was rather persistent.
Number 23, you agreed that that was a pretty quick turnaround?
Oh, yes, yes.
By a show of hands, does anyone think that the state could make a mistake? Yes. What about law enforcement? What about the state's theory of a case? Does anyone think that the state can be wrong in their theory of what happened?
Yes.
Did anyone not raise their hand? 23?
Oh, no.
Oh, okay. Just making sure. Now, does anyone know people who keep large amounts of cash on hand? That's number 26. Do they have a distrust of the banking system?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I know at least my generation, my grandparents and my great-grandparents certainly had a distrust of the banking system. The Great Depression, people lost everything, right? I think we're starting to get into a point where I might not be able to relate with some people. Number 6, do you think that it would be inappropriate or illegal for someone to keep large amounts of cash? Number 24. Have you ever made or received a personal call while you were around other people? What did you do so that those individuals didn't hear your conversation?
Usually asked to be excused.
You walk away?
Mm-hmm.
That's a yes?
Yes.
What if you couldn't walk away? How do you convey what you're trying to convey?
Then I usually ask if I can call back to the person.
So you'd either try to walk away or you would continue the conversation another time.
Right.
What if neither one of those were options?
Would
you be vague?
Yeah, because if I'm trying to get, especially if I was working, a lot of times I couldn't take a phone call, so I wouldn't answer. So
what if the person that you're with is the one who gets the call or makes the call? How do you know what's discussed?
you can, a lot of times hear what they're talking about.
But what if you can't hear? They walk out and you can't hear. Do you know what's discussed?
No.
Now, if the person comes back and tells you what was discussed, do you know whether or not that was true?
No.
By a show of hands, has anyone ever said something that they regretted? Thank you. Know that nobody, and correct me if I'm wrong, but nobody here has ever worked in law enforcement, correct? Okay. Has anyone received any courses or done any type of law enforcement training? Even those that were in the military. Number 13.
Yes, someone.
Can you tell us?
Side, I would have to be a sidebar.
Okay.
Due to the nature.
Understood. Anyone else? What about private security, private investigation? Anyone? Does anyone here like to travel? Got a few that don't. You don't like to travel? Number 9?
No, sir.
Okay. For those of us who like to travel, Let me pick on somebody. Who raised their hand? Number 25. Is it generally less expensive to stay in an Airbnb or a hotel for a lengthy trip?
I guess it depends on the area, but I guess recently Airbnbs kind of seem to be cheaper.
Now, there were a few people, and I didn't see the hands that have been involved in a divorce. Actually, number 11, you've been divorced?
Divorced?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Did you have young children at the time?
I did.
But was it amicable?
It was.
Anyone not have an amicable divorce who's been divorced? Okay. Did you say things about your ex or soon-to-be ex that you didn't really believe?
No.
I'm sorry?
No, it was pretty cordial.
Oh, it's pretty cordial. Okay.
Perfect on my side.
Oh, on your side.
That was pretty nice.
What about the other side?
Yeah, so
Not quite as much?
I would not.
Do you know how she spoke about you during the divorce?
Yeah.
Was it nice?
No.
And that same note, by a show of hands, has anyone ever spoken poorly or said mean things about somebody else? Pretty much everyone. Does that mean that you hated the person? Anyone? The fact that there are no paddles up tells me that doesn't mean they hated them.
I think it means we're just mad at time.
Thank you. Now, by a show of hands or paddles, has anyone jumped to a conclusion before? You hesitated.
Well, I don't like to admit, but I suppose I have.
We're human. We tend to do that. It's not just analytics. We also have emotions that come into play. And that's how we interpret things, right? Now, for all of us who have jumped to conclusions, was our initial conclusion always correct? No. By a show of hands, has anyone had a knee-jerk reaction? Said something in that moment? Pretty much everybody? Okay. Number 7, did you later realize that you misinterpreted what was said? You're human. By a show of hands, has anyone ever planned a party?
Okay, while they approach, I'm going to fast forward through this here. Just want to make sure we don't miss anything.
Now, I'm a visual person, so I wanted to list out some things that I wanted to talk to you about. So we're going to start with some definitions and concepts that I want to see how you interpret it. We're going to talk about the presumption of innocence, the burden of proof, jailhouse snitches, and we're also going to talk about some of the legal concepts that you're going to be asked to determine. Now, I think we've made it pretty clear. The law is going to be coming from the bench. I want to make sure that you can follow the law and that you understand what you're supposed to be doing. So I'm going to call on somebody new. Number 18. Can you tell us what a presumption is?
When you are making an assumption.
Is it an assumption? Now, it's just like the presumption of proof of innocence. You're not making an assumption there, are you? It's something that you believe up until a point, right? Okay. Does everyone agree with that? So, for example, you're supposed to presume that Mrs. Adelson is innocent up to the point if the state can prove their case beyond the exclusion of a reasonable doubt. What does that mean? What is beyond a reasonable doubt? We're going to get to that. Now, Ms. Kaplan already talked a little bit about what direct evidence is and what circumstantial evidence is, right? Does anyone feel like we need to go over that again? Number 17? No. Okay. Now, something else that came up. The state indicated a moment ago that evidence comes from the state, indicated their table. Evidence actually comes from the witness stand and in the form of exhibits, things that are presented to you. It's important for you to understand what I say, what Ms. Fulford says, what either the prosecutor say isn't evidence. It's argument. Number 20. You understand that?
Yes.
Number 14? Or yes. You understand that?
Sir.
So if you interpret evidence different than we argue, what are you supposed to do?
Discuss it.
I'm sorry?
Discuss it.
And you're going to discuss it back in the jury room. Does everyone agree with him?
Yes.
I have one confused look. Number 19? So if you interpret something different than what the state or defense argue it to be, what are you supposed to do?
Discuss it, like I said.
How do you determine whether or not the state's right or the defense is right?
I don't know.
You don't know?
No.
Can anyone offer any suggestions? Yes.
Ask to review the testimony.
What else?
Reviewing it.
I'm sorry.
Evidence.
Okay, so look at the evidence again.
To that point also, the court will give you specific instructions on how to weigh the evidence when we reach that point. You may continue.
Thank you. Now, presumption of innocence, we touched on it briefly. It's important. You must presume or believe the defendant is innocent. As we sit here today, you've heard no evidence. Mrs. Adelson is innocent. The presumption stays with her as to each material allegation in the indictment, unless it's overcome by evidence. So by things that you're going to get up there, beyond the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. Does everyone agree with that legal concept? Shaking the head, yes, thank you. It's the state's burden to prove that. So a few moments ago, I asked if anyone could define reasonable doubt. It's there's a definition. The judge is going to give it to you. We'll probably go over it throughout different points in the trial. But I find it easier to use some examples. Because presuming someone is innocent is not how our mind usually works. So let's see. Number 5. Let's say this morning on your way in, you pull into the parking garage and you see a motorcycle cop pulling somebody over. What do you think? What do you think happened?
We presume they broke some type of traffic law or something.
You don't think to yourself, I wonder why that cop pulled that innocent person over, do you? Did anyone think that? Thank you. You probably thought, glad it wasn't me. That guy was speeding. That's the way our minds normally work. You see someone get pulled over, you're like, oh, they ran a red light, they were speeding. And as I said earlier, you may have done that when you walked into the courtroom this morning. Now, just because you think that way doesn't mean you're not qualified to serve on the jury. But it does mean that we can't have that kind of thinking interfere with part of your deliberative process. Does anyone here think that because law enforcement arrested Mrs. Adelson and the state has decided to charge her, and that we've got all the way here to trial, does that make you think that she is guilty in any way? And I'm going to start with number 22. Does that make you think that she's guilty in any way?
In a way.
In a way?
In a way. Because why the state waste a lot of resources, time, money to convict someone that might not be guilty.
Does anyone agree with number 22? Anyone else?
To an extent.
I'm sorry?
To an extent.
To an extent? What do you mean?
It wouldn't, in my mind, make sense for the state to spend, I'm assuming at this point, maybe 10, 11 years going after a person that they didn't believe was guilty, or that they had no reason to go after a person for that long.
Thank you for your honesty. Does anyone else agree with that perspective?
I don't think that it necessarily makes her guilty verdict, but I do think that to make it to trial at this point, there has to, at some point in our legal system, been enough substantial evidence or witness testimony or things that they found for it to be got to this point and not run out along the way. It's like, hey, there's not enough here. So there's something, but the burden of that again is on the jury to figure that out.
So with that in mind, is that belief that you have, is that something that you're going to carry into the jury room?
I think it's a belief that I carry into the jury room that we have to listen to that evidence and decide if it's credible or not. That's why you have a jury.
But I guess it was a poorly worded question. The fact that you believe that it's gotten this far, does that gives you some idea that Mrs. Adelson is guilty?
Not that necessarily, like I said, not that she's guilty verdict, but that there's credibility to some evidence that potentially may point that way, which is why we're sitting here today. I wouldn't just assume that it's just all farce.
Would you say that you're pro law enforcement?
Sure.
So law enforcement conducts an investigation. They believe that they have probable cause. They make an arrest. You give that some weight.
Yeah.
You also said earlier that they could be wrong.
Sure.
How do we determine if they're wrong?
By what we're doing right now.
And just to be clear, the defense doesn't have to prove anything to you.
Right.
Okay. Does anyone think that it's not fair that the state has the burden to prove beyond a reasonable doubt with evidence and testimony that the defense doesn't have to do anything? So let's go continue with the discussion.
Hold on one moment. Juror 26, Heather Padilla.
I was just gonna say that, you know, somebody accused me of something, I want to speak up and say whether I did it or not, because I want to defend myself. And I want that opportunity to say, yes, I did it, or no, I didn't.
And that's fair. Now, concept in our legal system is defendant has the absolute right to remain silent. The judge is going to instruct you that if my client chooses not to testify, you can't hold that against her. Can you follow that instruction?
No, it's, oh, yes, definitely, yeah, just personally, I think that, you know, there should be some kind of response, but you're obviously responsible.
Certainly. And I think that's human nature, that if someone says, well, you did this, we want to speak up and defend ourselves. But in a courtroom in this country, defendant doesn't have to do that.
If there's a time and place to speak up about things,
I disagree. Are you going to hold it against Mrs. Adelson if she doesn't testify?
absolutely not.
Would anyone here hold it against Mrs. Adelson if she chooses not to testify? So let's go back to what beyond a reasonable doubt means. I'm going to give you another example. We've been in here for a while. There are no windows to the outside. So we walk outside when we're done, and the sidewalk and the road is wet. Is it reasonable to think that a fire truck drove down the road and sprayed everything to get it wet? Anyone thinks that's reasonable? No. That's not reasonable. In that context, can somebody volunteer what would be reasonable?
It rained.
Wait, we're in Florida. Does that happen?
Every day.
So we're defining what is reasonable. Does reasonable mean likely to happen? Is that what the judge is going to instruct you? Number two. So would you disagree with the statement that proof beyond a reasonable doubt means most likely to happen?
No, it's not most likely to happen. There's rarely like the case where that's every single aspect of evidence to it to fully convict someone.
You know, I've been using these examples for a long time, and I think this is the first time that I had to come back and say no, because most people would agree with likely. Standard is not most likely. It's not probably. It's not most convincing. So there are different levels of proof. And I think that you heard either the judge or Ms. Kappelman at some point talk about this. So at the bottom of the scale is reasonable suspicion. That's what's typically enough for an arrest. Or, I'm sorry, enough for an officer to stop someone, pat them down. Probable cause, what's necessary to get a warrant. Okay, so now, where on that scale we are, who knows? But that's enough to get a warrant, enough to arrest somebody. You got preponderance of the evidence, which is a civil standard. It's more likely than not. And you have clear and convincing evidence. That is what's required for the state to take your children from you. And at the top of that scale, it's beyond the exclusion of every reasonable doubt. That's the standard. So when you think about the state's burden of proof, how do you think about that from an operational standpoint? What is the state required to do? So let's go back to the chart. Who have I not called on? Number 8. Is the standard that you're going to be carrying forward in that jury room the side which convinces me the most?
No, your side doesn't have to convince me of anything. It's only the state that needs to provide evidence.
Can both the state and the defense make arguments that you disagree with?
Oh, sure.
That you believe that evidence does not support?
They could, yeah.
What are you going to do at that point?
Reconsider the evidence, deliberate with my peers.
And if the state has only proved something probable or possible, what are you going to do?
Well, it really needs to, I got to get the abiding conviction of guilt. So I really need to feel that conviction that your client would be guilty after seeing all the evidence and testimony.
But that's exactly my point. If the state doesn't do that, you stop. It's not guilty. You understand that?
Yeah, that's what it's said to.
So in the definition, one of the words that you're going to see in there is exclusion. The state has to exclude every reasonable doubt. They have to eliminate it. Does anyone here at all, starting in the first row, believe that they're going to have a hard time holding the state to their burden? They have to exclude every reasonable doubt. Anyone in the first row? Second row.
So when you say that, you mean that the state has to discount every other possible, like exclude to the exclusion of a reasonable doubt, like prove to me that it's not possible?
No, don't use the word possible.
Okay.
So if in argument, the defense were to say, give alternatives or a different explanation, and you believe that to be a reasonable doubt, if the state doesn't exclude that, then what is your response going to be?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Gotcha, thank you.
Does everyone understand that? I can make it real easy.
Before you go to the next one.
No, I can go past it. Yeah. Not there yet, so let's go back to- I'll come back to that. Not to the next slide yet. Okay, so one of the things that the court's going to instruct you is that a reasonable doubt arises from the evidence, a conflict in the evidence, or a lack of evidence. So this is another place where I like to use a hypothetical. And for this one, we're going to adopt the bank robbery hypothetical that Ms. Kappelman was talking about earlier. So the hypothetical is someone goes in and robs a bank. Witnesses identify the defendant. There's obviously surveillance video showing somebody that is consistent with the defendant's features. So I'm clear.
Please approach. Now. We are going, or excuse me, prospective jurors, we're just going to take a brief break for the moment, give you an opportunity to stand up and stretch your legs if you need to. I recognize that we are going through this process and it has been lengthy. If you need to stretch or take a moment to do so, you have the opportunity right now.
Okay, just obviously fast forwarding through the break here, and then we're back to slides.
And from the stand, video evidence shows the defendant on the surveillance. Closing argument, the defense attorney gets up and argues that the state didn't put on any evidence to show that it wasn't the defendant's twin brother. How do you know it wasn't his twin? What kind of doubt would that be? Let's go to number 20. What kind of doubt would that be? Does anyone agree with her? Number 23, you grimaced. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep confusing these two. The chart's different. Number 11.
Yeah, that's a tough one. I don't know.
That's speculative. There's been no evidence the defendant has a twin. Now, the defendant took the stand in that case, testified that he has an identical twin brother who is a bank robber, and oh, by the way, I have an alibi. Now it's evidence. You understand the difference? Yes? Okay. That is a doubt which attaches to the evidence from the witness stand that was admitted during the trial. Reasonable doubt. Now, what would the state have to do about that reasonable doubt in order to convict that defendant? They'd have to exclude that doubt which attaches to the evidence.
His fingerprints versus his brother's?
We're going to get there. Thank you. So let's go back to that hypothetical. In the surveillance video, and the witnesses testify that the robber is wearing a mask, so no one can identify him. Whose fault is that? Is that the state's fault? Number 8, is that the state's fault?
He's wearing a mask.
Yeah. You can't prove who it is. Whose fault is it?
The burden would be on the state.
Right. So identification. So the lack of identification is what? Reasonable doubt.
Yeah.
Let's go back to that same hypothetical. You got a mask. Robber's not wearing gloves, and he touches the table, he touches the glass door. You can see all that in the surveillance video. It goes to your fingerprint question. But reasonable doubt can arise from the lack of evidence. In this hypothetical, the detectives never bothered to dust for print. Would everyone agree that that would be a lack of evidence which bears on a material element of the offense, identity? Would everyone agree to that? Yes. And that they failed to exclude that by not gathering the evidence. They don't disagree with that. Now, go back to the same hypothetical. Surveillance video shows that the robber's on his phone. The witnesses tell law enforcement that the robber was talking to someone. Law enforcement later seizes that robber's phone, but they never search it to determine if there was a text or call made. Would everyone agree that there's a lack of evidence there? Yes. The other way the reasonable doubt can arise is based on a conflict in the evidence. In the hypothetical that I just gave you, someone identify any potential conflicts. Can you?
Not off the top of my head.
What if they were to dust the table or glass for fingerprints, but it's not conclusive?
What if the guy was somebody who visited the place earlier and could be seen doing the exact same thing?
Now, the state, before we move on, does everyone agree that witnesses that are going to come and take the stand are not perfect, they're not actors? Does anyone expect to see what you would see if you watch a TV program or a movie? Number 13, you were smiling.
I know. I think before stepping into this whole process, there's an idea in your head that's put in there by culture on what it all looks like. So when you step in and kind of it's shattered when you go into the journey across the roadway. So that's the difference between make believe and reality.
And this is what?
This is reality, not entertainment.
Judge is going to instruct you on how to weigh the credibility of witnesses. Now, the state brought up a point, this is something that happened 11 years ago. Does anyone think that if someone doesn't have an accurate memory, that that's something that's going to matter here? Number 22. That's going to matter?
If the person doesn't have accurate memory, yeah, it would be negative because it would distort the whole information from evidence being provided to juror. Sorry, say the last part again. The information that you can provide to juror will not be accurate.
How do you determine if someone is giving you an accurate answer? Would you compare it to the other evidence?
You cannot really tell.
I'm sorry.
So you cannot really, unless you have the videotape or something that go back and review.
One of the instructions to just believe any testimony from any witness. Okay. Ms. Kappelman talked a little bit about co-defendants. I'm going to talk about something else. Informants. I call them jailhouse snitches. Why would a jailhouse snitch cooperate with the state? I'm going to call on somebody I haven't called on yet. I think I've called on everybody. Number one, what would motivate a jailhouse snitch?
Special treatment?
Like what?
I don't know. What kind of amenities can they get? Maybe less or comfort?
In evaluating the testimony of an informant or a snitch, should you consider what benefit they got in determining whether or not they're being truthful? Number 8, I saw you shaking your head or nodding.
Well, I mean, somebody can be getting a kickback and be telling the truth at the same time.
What do you mean?
I mean, they could have seen something bad happen and get a reduction in the sentence for telling on them. It doesn't mean that the person did something bad or not do something bad.
So they could get the benefit, but it doesn't mean that what they're saying isn't truthful?
Yeah, I mean, they could be lying or telling the truth just because they got, a benefit or anything. But weigh on that other side of the equation in mind.
Going back on the topic of informants or snitches, we had one opinion that just because they testify doesn't necessarily mean that they're being dishonest or honest. Okay, so we don't know. How do you determine whether they're being honest or dishonest?
The other evidence is presented as well as their body language.
You got to weigh what they're saying against the other evidence, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you were to learn that the state can offer a benefit to an informant or a snitch, and it could be financial, could be favorable treatment, or anticipation of favorable treatment, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being unfair and 10 being completely fair, where do you find yourself? And I'm going to go number 7. Is that fair or unfair?
6.5, 7.
Number 6. Number 5.
Probably 5. I find it either fair or unfair, depends on the situation.
Number 22. It'd be balanced.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4. Yes. Number 24.
5.
5. Number 2.
If you repeat that question.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being unfair and 10 being completely fair, where do you find yourself? If you were to learn that the state compensated or gave a benefit to an informant.
That would be fair.
Okay. Number 1.
Scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
6.
Number 8.
Initially, I feel like it's unfair, but when you think about it, no one does anything for free, and there's going to be a lot of risk to, coming out against a lot of folks that also could be in jail. So
it's a balance?
Yeah, it's a risk versus reward, and I think the higher the reward, the more of a risk someone is willing to take for that reward.
Does everyone agree with that? Getting a lot of head nods. Okay. Number 9.
I'd say it's equal. 5.
23.
I agree with mostly what he said. If it's.
Are you referring to number 8, sir?
Yes. Yes.
Go ahead.
Number 11.
Number 5.
Number 12.
I have to say 4.
Number 13.
Number 4 or 5 range.
Number 14.
I think it's fair.
I'm sorry?
I think it's fair.
Okay. Number 25.
I'd say it's a 4 because the state then has more influence to pressure, where that's the other side would not have the same change.
Number 20. Can't read my own handwriting. Ma'am?
I'm 25. I think you said she was 25.
Yeah.
Just so you know.
Yes. Thank you.
About 5.
About a 5?
Yeah.
20?
5.
19?
5.
18?
Is it legal?
It's legal.
Then it's fair.
Number 17?
Go with 7 as well.
16?
It'd be hard for me to say, just that general circumstance really depends case by case.
Just a moment. Does anyone think that the defense should have the same benefit there? The defense can do that as well? No? I'm sorry? Could the defense offer a benefit to a witness? If I were to tell you that we can't. Number 24. Is that fair that we can't do that?
I know that's cannot. Yeah.
Right. Is that fair?
I don't know. I just know it's law. You cannot.
Right. Number 14.
I think it's fair because the burden's on them to prove fair case.
Fair. Now, has anyone here heard that a description of the role of a juror as having a duty to deliberate about the facts? Anyone? Getting some slight head nods? And once you decide the facts, you apply the law to those facts. What does deliberate mean? Let's see. Number 19, what does deliberate mean?
Discuss the facts of the case with the jurors.
You trailed off at the end, I'm sorry.
To discuss the case with the fellow jurors in the jury room.
Does everyone agree with that? What does it take to deliberate? You think carefully? Consult with each other? Getting some head nods? Does anyone here, bless you, anyone ever just engaged in a family discussion around the dinner table? Show of hands. Are there informal rules for that?
Yeah.
Number 7. What are the rules at your house?
Well, my dinner table has an 8-year-old, 6-year-old, and a 2-year-old. So right now the big rule is don't talk over your siblings, and everybody gets to tell their part. Everybody gets a voice to be heard.
And I've had children that age before. It can be somewhat difficult to wrangle them. How do you encourage them to follow those rules?
Sometimes with stern, but most of the time with the illustration of, hey, you want everyone to listen to you when you're talking, so you need to be quiet where your sister talks. I try to model that for them myself too.
So you redirect them. Sometimes you got to be stern, but you try to redirect them and you try to use your own methods of showing them an example. Now, for those of us who have older children, let's see. Number 11. I know what it's like to have 4 children. How did you determine whether the family discussion was successful?
Well, I guess if we were all still speaking to each other, after the discussion took place, was a success in my house.
I can relate. Now, would it be accurate to say that the end result, the conclusion that is reached, coincided with your initial conclusion?
Not necessarily.
Now, if you felt strongly that your way was the right way, would you be capable of standing up to them and saying, I believe this, I hear you, I respect you, but I disagree?
Absolutely. And that's exactly how it was in my household. We had the right to your opinion as well. And let's all try to understand each other and respect each other in that regard.
So in other words, can you accept that sometimes we just don't reach an agreement?
Absolutely.
Now, number 6. I think you touched on this a little bit earlier, but if you are engaged in that conversation and you disagree with everybody else's conclusion, but it's 6 o'clock on a Friday and you're hungry, are you going to change your opinion so you could go get them to eat? I don't think so. Does everyone remember why that statement causes me concern? Are you going to change your opinion? Anyone here willing to change their opinion if they believe that their interpretation is correct? Anyone? Getting crickets.
I'll change my opinion if the evidence suits it. My opinion's not set in stone or anything.
Well, let's back up a little bit. If you believe strongly after having this discussion that you're right, are you going to change your opinion so that everybody can go home?
I mean, there'd be a lot of peer pressure. I could see that. I mean, me personally, my opinion goes out in publication and all kinds of stuff. That we stake our reputation on that as PhDs. So only good concrete facts really change my opinion.
So short answer would be no, you wouldn't change your opinion.
No.
Would anyone change their opinion so that they could go home? I'm getting shake. Okay, great. Are there topics that you should not discuss when you're back in the jury room? Anyone want to volunteer an example?
Anything you may have heard secondhand, inadvertently through somebody, work, home.
What about whether the defendant should testify? Is that something that you should discuss there? What does it mean if the defendant doesn't testify? You discuss that. Number 7, should you discuss that the prosecutor decided to charge Mrs. Adelson? Well, you said earlier that if we've gotten this far, that it means something, right? Should that be something that you discuss?
No, I just think that's something that gets us to the trial. The only thing we're discussing is what happens in the trial.
Does it matter clothing I wear or my client wears? Is that something that you should discuss back there? Trying to find somebody to pick on for this. Number 13. Can you give me an issue of something that's, an example of circular reasoning?
It's an argument that plays back upon itself. So the argument is used as the evidence or proof that the argument is true.
I'm going to give you an example. Too. I like that. I don't think everyone's going to agree with me on this, but good guys don't make mistakes. Law enforcement officers are good guys, or gals. Therefore,
Okay, the audio's cutting in.
law enforcement officers are good, or I'm sorry, let me back up. Good guys don't make mistakes. Law enforcement officers are good guys. I'm a law enforcement officer. Therefore, I don't make mistakes. Circular? It's not accurate, is it? Do we want to avoid that type of reasoning when you're deliberating? Anyone disagree with that? Does anyone think that law enforcement officer who testifies over somebody who's not a law enforcement officer? Number 17. When you're back there, would you be deliberating if you automatically accepted as truthful without the exercise of any skepticism the testimony of a law enforcement officer? Would you automatically believe testimony of a law enforcement officer without exercising any skepticism?
No.
You wouldn't be deliberating, would you? They tell you. You got to question what is said to you. What is presented. Agree with that. Just going to accept what is presented by the witnesses. Anybody? Good. Now, when you're deliberating, you have concluded conversations, right? You said that you're capable of standing your ground, right?
Yes, sir.
Now, what about the reverse? You go back there, you believe steadfast in your position, but then somebody else adds something that you hadn't considered. Are you going to then consider that as part of your deliberative process?
Yeah, that's the whole goal. Sure.
One of the instructions that you'll get from the court says that you should use your common sense. Is common sense a process or is it a result? Let's see, who do I want for this one? Number 2.
I say it's a process.
And so if common sense is a process, should you automatically accept the state's conclusions without discussing? What should you do?
Common sense might be common, but it's not always the answer. It's something different. So you need to discover everything.
Saying if someone's common sense result, their process leads them to one conclusion, but your sense process leads you to another. How do you resolve?
Sorry about the audio, you guys. I keep thinking that it's going to stop glitching and then it doesn't. So
go back to what you would assume is.
I'm going to put it back on normal speed for a second and see if that fixes it.
The common part of it on, like, what do you actually think is so reasonable about it?
Thank you.
Number 26. Go ahead.
I don't think we can.
Look at this poor paralegal here. She's over it.
Parents always trust our common sense because I think we all have to say with common sense, but whatever our common sense is telling us.
It's fair. Does anyone agree with that? Give you some nods. Anyone disagree with it? Now, I want you to understand is what's going to be necessary as you are evaluating the evidence. Ms. Kappelman asked, how do you determine someone's... It's not just, does somebody always say what they intend to happen?
Yeah, that's part of the reason, but how they would then determine body language, what they're telling you, comparatively that against other evidence, and what
Now, what's clear is throughout the case, everyone understand that you don't reach a conclusion until you don't start deliberating until after all the evidence. Okay, so when you get to that point, all the evidence then have the opportunity to go back and discuss what the evidence means. Does everyone understand that? Shaking the heads, yes. Now,
We're almost there, guys. Big break coming up here.
That there's a premeditated killing of Daniel Markel, and that Daniel Markel is dead, does that mean that it was done by the criminal act of my client? You need to be able to separate my client from the other individuals. Does everyone understand that?
That's a good suggestion, A Dutch S. I'm actually going to just refresh it here.
Yes. Now, if the state establishes that there's a premeditated killing of Daniel Markel, and that Daniel Markel is dead, does that mean that it was done by the criminal act of my client? You need to be able to separate my client from the other individuals. Does everyone understand that?
That did not help. Sorry, guys. We're about to get a big break here. I think he's done already. Oh, maybe not.
As Kaplan discussed it earlier, the state's going to have to establish Mrs. Adelson had the conscious intent for. Number 5, how do you determine if that happens? How do you determine if the state can prove that?
There has to be some sort of like witness testimony, writing, and along those lines of premeditation.
Now, in the principal instructions, the state's not going to have to prove that Mrs. Adelson is present. Have you heard the term guilt by association?
I'm going to go back to normal speed and refresh it again, and then just let it play on normal speed for a minute and see if that helps. Does not.
The state's not going to have to prove that.
Okay, it's paused. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm actually going to close this browser window. I'm going to open a new one. And let me do this. And I'm going to totally shut down that whole YouTube window.
Now, in the principal instructions, the state's not going to have to prove that Mrs. Adelson was present. Have you heard the term guilt by association? Anybody? Shaking the head, yes. Now,
Okay, it's hard to understand because of the glitching, but he's saying, have you heard of the term guilt by association? And he said the state doesn't have to prove that Mrs. Adelson was present.
there's testimony that my client's son, Charlie Adelson, was convicted. Does that mean, does that mean that my client has any of that she is guilty? Shaking your head, no. Anybody saying yes? Does that conclusive in any way concerning Mrs. Adelson? Shaking of the heads. The fact, sure. The fact that my client's son, Charlie Adelson, has convicted of these charges. That's something that you're going to consider when determining whether or not my client is guilty.
Sitting here right now, no, but if the state uses some sort of, it would just be determined on the states. That would have to be considered.
So what you're saying is the state would have to have evidence to her son's actions.
Sure. Yeah. Just can't do that.
Does everyone agree with that?
Yes.
Anyone disagree? Just because he's been convicted doesn't mean that my client.
Okay, I was having a microphone issue. All right, so I'm not sure what's going on with the buffering. I didn't have any problem at all when I was recording this earlier today, so I've gone back to the live stream instead of my recording. I'm hardwired into the internet here at the house, and I did a speed test, and it says my speed is great, so I don't know what's going on. But we are very nearly finished with his portion over here. He goes on for about another 6 or 7 minutes. And to be honest with you, I don't think he really asked any more questions that were
We were discussing
of
other people's
pertinence.
responsibility.
Sorry.
There's only one person that's going to be on trial here. Does everyone understand and agree that your feelings about anybody else and whether or not they have any responsibility have nothing to do with Mrs. Adelson's responsibility? Everyone can separate that. Focus your conversations only on Mrs. Adelson. Does everyone agree?
Everyone agreed, just so you know.
Let's see. With older children. Number 11, I'm going to pick on you again. Kids ever lie to you when they're growing up? Say it again.
Absolutely. They're pretty good kids, so normally they felt guilty enough to come tell me to me. But typically, as a parent, it's fairly easy to pick up on what that was. But
so your children are adults now.
correct.
They ever lie to you as adults?
Oh, I'm sure they do. A few times.
Number 16, how do people react when they're scared?
Very much the person. Someone's going to have a lot of.
Some people don't react the same.
Sorry?
People don't react the same when they're scared.
Correct.
Everyone agree with that?
Yes.
You know, I grew up in Miami and had a friend who's after Hurricane Andrew. He quickly discovered he didn't like that type of attention. spotlight and they didn't want to be there? Or
I think he blew it here by bringing up that he is from Miami. I think he was trying to relate to the jurors when he talked about the hurricane, but people from Tallahassee do not view people from Miami well. So I think he blew it here again as well.
16, you're shaking your head yes. You've been in the spotlight before, you didn't want to be there?
Something like was on. Yes, a little bit. Like when I was a child, I was on local news and got very shy there.
Okay. You wanted to get away, right? Right? Understand that that feeling you want to get away from unwanted attention? Yes? Now I'm going to ask you something I don't normally ask anybody. By a show of hands, anyone familiar with Judaism? Thank you.
And again, he already asked this question in a different way earlier.
Important life events, Jewish children. Was your grandmother at yours?
I'm not.
Oh, okay. My grandmother was at mine.
And why is he, I don't understand
bring up
really
something else.
what he thought the value would be of letting them know that his grandma was at his bar mitzvah. I don't really understand that. And, you know, unless he's trying to make the case that, here's the thing, like this is straying away from jury voir dire into, you know, testimony, arguing. I don't know. There's a lot more leeway here than I thought there would be.
It's a little unique. And who was familiar with Judaism? Okay. Number 12? That's you? Oh, 14. I don't know why I can't keep this straight. I'm sorry. Actually, I'm going to skip that. Let's see.
We don't need to hear your inner monologue, dude.
During the course of the trial, there are going to be some photographs shown of Mr. Markel. Nobody? Number 9?
He's asking if they're going to have trouble seeing the autopsy photos.
Talk to us about that.
Fairly squeamish about that kind of stuff. I'm not passing out the sight of blood, but other stuff that are more gruesome is just a bit unsettling.
Is that something that you wouldn't be able to review that evidence? Okay.
He's asking them if they would be able to review the evidence or not.
Is that going to impact your ability to be fair in evaluating that evidence?
No, sir.
I want to ask a somewhat provocative question. Point in time, does anyone here believe the state actually knows? Anybody?
Say that again.
Do you believe the state knows what happened? Sure. As we sit here today, now remember, prosecutors were not witnesses to this case, correct? They are going to present arguments to you. You see, or do they believe what happened? the distinction? Does everyone understand that?
Yes.
Okay. Just a moment, Your Honor.
Okay, this approach is not very long. And then the prosecutor has just a couple of follow-up questions before they break for lunch, or they not break for lunch, but they take a break and they talk about the answers. And then they come back and they dismiss several of the jurors at this point. And then they're going to call in another few people to the panel. I believe they go all the way up to 50 for the panel. And then the attorneys ask very similar questions. So what we're going to do is right when they come back from this, we're going to listen to the prosecutor asking her follow-up questions. And then once they go into that process of breaking, we're going to obviously skip over the break. We'll come back and hear which jurors get let go. They let 10 jurors go. And then they bring in some more for the panel, and there are more questions. So, and what I think is helpful is as we're going through and they're asking these questions, I'm making a lot of notes about the jurors that actually got selected so that I can have sort of a comprehensive picture of each one of them. And so what I'm going to do is tomorrow morning, we'll start the live stream at 7:45 Central Time. That's 8:45 Florida time. And I'll give you a summary of those jurors that were chosen as well.
2 heads are better than 1 becomes 3 heads are better than 1, Your Honor. Nothing further.
Cappleman, do you need to make any inquiry of juror 26?
Yeah, were you able to follow the discussion when I was doing my presentation? As far as we talked about principal theory, we talked about, I gave my circumstantial evidence demonstration with the cheesy donut example. Anything that you definitely interject at that point.
So she's asking juror number 26 if she was able to follow the discussion of there being a principal person as far as and accomplices. And since juror 26 was not chosen, I'm going to go ahead and skip over if that's okay. And I'm fairly certain that was the only thing that she asked. Yeah, I apologize for the skipping in the audio. And it's the reason why actually I'm going
to the testimony. Does it fit with the other evidence?
I think considering everything.
Okay, as opposed to being a person that, oh, I hear they're a felon, I'm done. I can't hear anything they have to say. Anything else during my time up here where you were bursting at the seams to share something with me? Okay, thank you, nothing further.
At this point, can join me in the jury room along with the court reporter. For everyone else that is going.
Okay, so now they're going to go back to the jury room with the court reporter. So on the record, they're going to discuss the different jurors that they're going to release. And if I remember correctly, this was a pretty long break that they did here. And I want to say they went ahead and took lunch at this time as well. And actually, I don't think the judge got to eat lunch. So then this is just them coming back and the judge will have some comments here.
to speak with you as well. I am not going to reread the law to you concerning the presumption of innocence, the right to remain silent, and the burden of proof. The law is fixed. Nothing has changed with it. Does anyone have any questions concerning the law that was previously read for jurors 27 through 36? Please raise your paddles if you have a question as to what the court read. Very well. I'm now going to ask 27 through 36 as a group. Have any of you previously served on a jury? Please raise your paddles if you have. Juror 28.
Okay, now these are the same questions that he asked of the juries in the other panel. They've already dismissed the other jurors, and they've brought in up to number 46, I believe, is who they brought in. And so here's what I'm going to do at this point. We're at 3 hours. So I am going to spend a little bit of time now just going on and creating this profile of the different jurors, like I was talking about. And then, yeah, Facebook page, yeah, says that I'm closed. My hours are not now. Yeah, I've been having trouble with this platform in more ways than one. So if you would do me a huge favor, if you would go over to the Midlife Revolution at Facebook and follow me over there. If you would go over to Rumble and follow me there, if you're familiar with that platform, it's very familiar, or it's very, similar to this one. And then I would really appreciate it if you subscribe and like the video and all of that. Since the audio is so bad tonight, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just clip out the part that deals with the jurors that actually got selected. And then I'm going to build that profile for you guys. And I'll have that for you first thing in the morning when we get together. I hope everybody has a wonderful night. Thank you so much for sticking with me for this long jury selection. But I think this is a fascinating process, and it's also so important to the trial, to know about these people, to know who they are and what their background is and everything, so that we can understand where they're coming from when they're making their decision. So I'm going to copy, this is my Facebook profile at the Midlife Revolution. And I appreciate you guys so much for everything you do to support the channel. Thanks everybody for your likes and your shares. And I will see you bright and early tomorrow morning. We'll be streaming the entire day. There's going to be opening statements. First responders will probably testify first, and we might even get to hear from Donna Adelson herself tomorrow. Have a great night. Sleep fast. I'll see you soon. Take care.